did they ever tell you about the tragedy we had here in the winter of 2005? We had a help desk technician come work for us, just a winter contract. And at first he seemed like a perfectly normal guy. But sometime throughout the winter, he must have suffered a complete mental breakdown.
Well, I can assure you, nothing like that's gonna happen with us, right, Jess?
I think this new building is going to be the best thing that ever happened to us. Oh, look! An axe!
Do you really want to stay in this new building the entire winter?
You know, for some people, the constant isolation solitude's a problem. For others, they just go into IT.
Jeff, you better tell me the truth. Did you or did you not buy these servers on eBay?
How was I supposed to know they came from a server room that was built upon an ancient user burial ground?
Nice party.
Where did you get a typewriter?
Jeff, I'm not gonna hurt ya. I'm just gonna do a hard reboot on ya.
Come on, Jess. Stop screwing around, Jess. I'm serious. Stop. Stop. You're scaring me. Stop, Jess.
Give it to me.
Don't make me use this. Stop! Ah! Stop! Stop! Ah! Stop!
Here's Jesse!
Hello? Classic.
Blast from the past.
Absolutely classic.
From another dimension.
Classic. It's coming soon.
Blast from the past. Ah, good.
Classic. Yeah, we talking.
Excellent audio check.
Yeah. That is one of there's two projects we worked on together that I really show every year, and that the rebooting is one of them. And the second one is our walkthrough of House of Torment. That one was fun. We had some good ambushes, but I would say the top right there was roller derby, the haunted house.
Ambush roller derby was great. I almost played that one. We'll play it eventually.
Yeah, that one's a
no
good
spoilers.
One. Yeah,
I had to double check to make sure the music is cool to still play.
Oh, that's on there.
Yeah. And guess what? Somewhere I have medieval ambush.
Oh, we need that.
And I think we can play. That never saw the light of day, so
no.
that could actually play.
Yeah, that could be a premiere. Too hot for television.
That's an actual premiere. The only people who saw it were the people who were so appalled. They said, bury it. Those people run Warner Discovery.
How did we get to that point that we literally made something that it's like did not? Apparently, it did air in London. This sounds like the back of the box of Faces of Death. It only aired once in London.
It was declared a video nasty, and they tried to ban it. We almost had to fly over there and go to what is it, Parliament?
Parliament. JJ, you have no idea what's up, man. We got some gems. We got some buried gems in here that they literally were just like, it was you, me, and we throw a couple other people in the car and we just go.
Yeah.
And like a lot of time, writing stuff on the way.
Yep.
Like I remember literally just writing stuff like in the car. We were just like brainstorming. That was that white Chevy Equinox I had that was like the ambush mobile for a while.
I wonder how that would get over now. Because everybody's ambushing. It's all over TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
There's this one guy on TikTok that I was watching the other day. And all he does is he asks you like a weird, risque question. You know? It's like, where's the craziest place you ever made whoopee? And then they'll just be like, oh, I don't know, like the library. And he'll be like, oh, mommy, no. And that's it. That's the whole clip.
That's it.
And he does hundreds of them.
I had no idea that we were TikTok before TikTok.
No, yeah, totally.
We were totally TikToking. Because, yeah, that was a complete experiment that worked really well. We were selling them, too. Selling them like hotcakes.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know how that would work now if you ambush people about movies. Oh, you know what the
You're
other...
in my safe space.
Yes. The third one is the Christmas one where everybody was just like drank a bunch of Jaeger shots.
That was just you.
I remember just having a like you handed me a Jaeger shot and was like, this will help keep you warm.
Because I thought you ordered Jaeger as a joke. I didn't think you were going to drink it. I thought you were kidding.
For some reason, I was still freezing, and remember, I actually ran the Trailer Lights 5K.
Oh, that's right. You came right from the
came
run.
right from there. But yeah, the Jaeger shots, and I remember taking a shot at like we were talking about Fox News. Like this was all cutting edge. We were definitely in the zeitgeist early.
Yeah, us
Really?
and Jay Leno.
Yeah.
We're the only ones doing it at the time.
Do you got a Leno? I don't got a Leno. Does anyone? We need Chuckles here. I can't do a Leno. Oh man, so we got our tickets, just locked them down. Clerks 3, the convenience tour,
Clerks 3.
November 14th.
I went to the last Kevin Smith show here. Well, we went to movies.
Oh yeah,
Obviously,
movies
he
was
didn't
great.
Show, he didn't show up, but
No.
I went to the, what is it? The Jay and Silent Bob rebooted.
Oh yeah, they did that at Paramount as well.
Yeah, they did that at Paramount. We got some decent seats. It worked out pretty well. It's a good show. I mean, it's almost like he's so over with his fans that you can't help but just kind of like get into it, you know? I mean, to a certain extent, it's pretty niche, and he's been telling the same jokes for a long time, but his fans are way into it.
Is he? And here's the hot take: is Kevin Smith the Mick Foley of Hollywood?
I mean, yeah, that's not a bad analogy.
Right?
He's pretty
Because
close to
was
that, yeah.
Clerks him going through the table off the cage, and he really like changed the industry, and now he could still like bring that. Although those burgers were good, dude. Those movies burgers,
They were excellent.
Yeah, they were really good.
The cow tipper.
Cow tipper was.
Here's
good.
the thing. I think he was part of that 90s independent cinema wave. So
Yeah.
he's a big part of it.
Absolutely.
He's in that group with Tarantino, Linklater, Robert Rodriguez. He's in that group. I mean, he spun off and did his podcast Gimmick. But if there was like a magazine cover in the 90s, like new independent cinema, he'd be on that cover.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And now he admittedly so. He's like, I don't know if I would have been able to succeed now like I did then, because now I would be a YouTube video, is how we kind of put it. But I think he would succeed because he does have a way of just like connecting with his audience.
Well, he definitely brought something new to it. It was a little bit almost leapfrog off of Tarantino, because Tarantino brought in the casual dialogue to the film, right? To the movies.
Yeah.
Gangsters talking about hamburgers and TV shows. So he kind of spun off of that and had like regular people talking about Star Wars for a long time,
Yeah. And that's why I'm excited. This Clerks 3, it looks like he is going to dovetail that and close out and really get meta, because he is great with dialogue. Chasing Amy and Dogma are still up there, man. Those are two films that really stuck with me. And it's hard to believe that you were emotionally moved, thinking back now, to be emotionally moved by the View Askew-universe characters, right? The same characters that came from Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back and Mallrats were in this film, Chasing Amy, that really affected. I mean, Joey Lauren Adams, everything just worked so well for that film.
Yeah,
But it
definitely.
And then Dogma, also really worked for different reasons that really stuck with you. So,
Which is hard to find, if you have a Blu-ray of Dogma
Yeah.
or a DVD, you can sell it on eBay for like $100, I think.
oh man. So every once in a while I go through and now it's a little harder. You know how you do the gimmick where you can scan a barcode that shows that you own a film, and then you can unlock it in your locker. There's always that part of me for those hard to find films to see, is it out there yet? Like, did somebody cut a deal and not let us know yet? Because again, we were talking about this last week with Grindhouse, Planet Terror, Death Proof. I have the double feature in there, but Dogma is right up there too. That one that I wish I had in my locker that I can own. I don't know. Do you have the VHS or DVD? I just have the
I do
DVDs.
not. I don't have any. Actually, I used to have the DVD. I wish I hadn't sold it. I wish I hadn't gotten rid of a lot of my DVDs.
Oh, you're
It
telling me,
just took up
man.
a lot of room. But no, last time I watched it, there's a rip on YouTube that I watched.
That's where you watched it.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Well, we're going to get to see Clerks early next month. There's a Fathom event starting on September 13th, so we'll see it. And then 2 months later, we can watch it with Kevin Smith himself, complete with photo op. But I got some heat with the Paramount Theater. I was telling you this earlier. So both of my South by Southwest premiere experiences both involved friend of the show, Randall Reeder. I got to be his +1 twice. Got to be his +1 for 21 Jump Street, and I got to be his +1 where we took a penny cab and showed up for Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. And you know he's a big guy. There's the picture. Go to our socials. You can see Randy standing next to us. He really does dwarf us. And you know those theater seats in the Paramount were made for the 20s when everybody had little small suits and everybody was a lot smaller.
Everybody had tiny frames. They were just small people then.
Yeah, so it just didn't work. But they were drinking a lot of beer. What's his name from Escape from Guantanamo Bay? Rob Caudry. Man, he's a funny guy, but there was a lot of beer flowing that night. And of course, usually, you know me, I'm very particular. I have a lot of OCD rituals, and one of them is sitting in the aisle seat. But as the +1 with Randall Reeder, you are not taking the aisle seat. So I had to sit next to him, and I drank a lot of beer. And you know, I have my 5 minutes before the roll. Got to run to the bathroom. Couldn't do that because he was drinking, and then he couldn't get up. He was kind of like, once he's down, he's down. And man, I was hurting. Finally, I just had to do the stripper hop over his lap and kind of straddle him awkwardly just to get out of the road. And it was just like, and it was definitely...
Do I give you the ass or the crotch?
That's it. I was going to say it was the Fight Club moment, ass or crotch, and I went with crotch, and it came off so awkward. And both Harold and Kumar, the actors that played them, were right behind them. And literally, I straddled him right over Randy, so it looked like a lap dance was supposed to happen. And I looked, and both Harold and Kumar made direct eye contact with me. Like, are you about to give him a lap dance in the middle of our premiere? What the hell are you doing?
I mean, that's solid feedback.
Man.
If you're doing a lap dance in the middle of my film.
Yeah. So, of course, I ran, and once I made it out of there, I hopped out of there, and I walked in there, and Rob Caudry was in the little bathrooms that you kind of have to walk to the side, and he just was giggling like a little kid because he knew I was going. He was like, that's a lot of beer he drank. But I tell you what, man, it made that film hilarious. People were popping. They were just hooting and hollering. There's nothing like seeing the right movie with the right crowd, with your crowd. And like you're talking about with Kevin Smith, we're going to be among the View Askew Universe fans. And it's going to be fun because Harold and Kumar in both 20 and 21 Jump Street were great. I just have heat with the Paramount Theater because the seats are too small. Make your peace with Alamo Drafthouse, please, so we can go to doing premieres there.
I mean, premieres at Alamo Drafthouse kind of dope when they do multiple theaters, you know?
Yeah.
They pretty much line it up in all the theaters or multiple theaters, and they'll have the live folks in the main theater, but everyone else just gets the feed, which kind of sucks. But honestly, a feed of them right there is kind of better than watching from a distance in a tiny seat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I got excited when I forgot. I saw Paramount and like, oh, balcony. Balcony seats used to be dope, right? You had balcony seats before they had stadium seating, but you're saying even the balcony seats are a little cumbersome there.
Yeah, I think my best screening at the Paramount was a festival screening. Slava's online.
Slava, what's up?
There was a festival screening of Black Swan at the Paramount. You know Black Swan? Natalie Portman?
Yeah, Natalie Portman.
And it was sponsored by a wine company, and there was free wine all night. Unlimited free wine of all fruits and colors. That audience was hammered. Hammered. Like, by the end, people were destroyed, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine. And then having that scene where Natalie Portman went in deep with Mila.
Yeah.
That was, like, hardcore, too, so I'm sure it had that sitcom, woo!
Oh, yeah. And you're uncomfortably close to the person next to you.
Right.
You know?
Like, damn it, why did I bring my mom to this?
And then you've got the whole having to lap dance someone to go to the bathroom. Yeah, it just all works out.
Yeah, and we had the lap dance, and then the one after that for 21 Jump Street, we actually took a penny cab into the line. So all the actors were going up in their cars and stuff. And Randy's like, let's screw it. Let's just do it. Let's just get it. And that poor man, he had calves like iron. And he went over the bridge, like, because we were
I don't know why I was picturing you on a horse-drawn carriage. It's actually a bike, right?
Yeah, it was a bike. It was a pedicab. And we were staying in Barton Springs, so we had to go over the bridge to get there. And finally, I felt so bad for the guy because, you know, between me and Randy, you're close to like, I don't know, 500-600 pounds.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, I can do it. Don't worry about it. And then halfway up the bridge, I'm like, I'm just going to get off so you can just pedal him. And Randy's like, fuck, I'm not getting off. I paid for this. He's going to pedal me over. I wish I had, that was before you can realize I should have just recorded a video of that. I don't know why I didn't, but now it's lost to time. Kind of like the deer and Stand By Me. I guess this one's just for me.
Of you being on the pedicab? Well,
Yeah.
you have a lot of stuff you didn't get to record.
Oh, yeah.
There's only a few images of your wrestling career
I
out there.
regret that. Because, well, when we were coming in, you were taught not to disturb the veterans and ask for pictures, right? I mean, and there's some that I wish like Roddy Piper, Jake the Snake, like the legends that I grew up with. I mean, the Scott Halls, the Kevin Nash, those were great, but they were almost closer to being my generation. But the ones that I was a little kid for, that's the ones I really regret. I would say Roddy Piper is probably like the number one regret. But also, I didn't have a phone. I had a beeper, and it did not accept pictures.
Well, that was pre-selfie. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
it was.
like...
Yeah, there was no
It
selfies
invented the
back
thing
then.
where you could just lift up your phone and take a picture. It's that easy.
Yeah.
You had to pull out a camera, turn it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait for the flash thing to fire up. You know,
Yeah.
look through it and focus. Get somebody else to hold it for you.
Yeah, it was not easy.
You had to
back
put all
then.
your trust in someone. And they couldn't take like 1,000 pictures like they can
Right.
now.
And-
someone will just snap 20 and be like, one of those will work.
Yeah,
It's like,
probably.
I only have 24 flashes here.
And we're all scarred, right? Back then, it was just like, what if a European vacation, they tell us to go in the fountain just so they can run away with our camera?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and because it wasn't that easy. So, yep, a lot of it lost to time. And I recommended a YouTube video for you for Lost Media. I think I want you to watch it first, and then we'll cover it next week. Speaking of moments lost in time, the amazing amount of songs, movies, and TV shows that have been lost to time due to fire, neglect, just the tape rot, like we were talking about, the laser rot, stuff. But one of them was actually somebody finally found it. It was the Sesame Street episode that had the Wicked Witch of the East, bro. Literally from the Wizard of Oz, she showed up on Sesame Street, and it was deemed like medieval IT Ambush too scary for kids, so it never aired again, and it was missing for 45 years. And then randomly, some anonymous person on Reddit posted it and found it. You know, this, and you could have asked for a lot of cash for this. Like, this was a collector's item missing for over 40 years, a Sesame Street episode, and he just no cash reward, no anything. He just wanted to share it with the world. And he posted the full episode, The Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz on Sesame Street.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
just saw
awesome.
Sesame Street got on TikTok, though.
Yes. Yeah, you sent me that. That was awesome. Tick tock, tick tock. Yeah, Slava said I heard that Disney was keeping it under wraps because it was too much. Maybe that's how they did it. I don't know. But anyway, so we're going to have Geek Commander. He's going to be showing up here pretty soon. We can talk about that. So, but you want to jump into this week in wrestling? Want to jump into that spot? I gave you The Office. I think we can jump into that.
I didn't have a music to cue that.
Oh, that's
This week in wrestling, but yeah. So what is going? I mentioned to you the other day. It's crazy how quickly AEW got turned heel.
Yeah,
They
fast.
were the biggest babyface company
Fast.
for 2 years. And I remember I went to a lot of shows. I don't know how many you went to, but I went to about 4 over the last 2 years, including one pay-per-view. And man, and I remember I was telling Luigi Lotti, he's like, enjoy this because this won't last. It won't last. This is the golden era.
It's sad that
Yeah.
it could pivot. Something could pivot. Something could change.
My question to you is, do you think it's as bad as they are saying it is? Or is this the dirt sheets really getting worked and also just doing stuff for clicks?
I think they're doing stuff for clicks. I don't think it's as bad as it is, but here's the hot take that's going to trigger some people. Jim Cornette was right about a lot of this stuff. And you and I have talked about this before. You need a professional wrestling mind, and it worked. You also need somebody that says the buck stops with me. And Tony Khan is the buck that stops with me, but he also needs people that he trusted. So if he wants to be in that Vince McMahon role of everything starts and ends with me, Vince McMahon had Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe, and as much as you don't like, he came up with a lot of good stuff. Michael Hayes is fantastic, good friend, but his stuff they books is fantastic. He has those people that came up with a lot of good stuff. Some of the best stuff that we grew up with came from Pat Patterson. Tony Khan, they did not come from Vince. Vince McMahon has had more bad ideas than he's had good ideas when it comes to creative. So Tony can't do it all. He can't. He'll just burn himself out. But that being said, I think, like JJ said, that a lot of people are working themselves into a shoot. I don't know how much of that heat is real with CM Punk and Adam Page. Clearly, it was real enough for him to do something live on TV after Adam Page kind of went off script on stage, and then CM Punk returned the favor. And that's not good. You don't want more buzz coming from the locker room than from the ring. And when we were just coming off Thunder Rosa having some concerns. And then Jericho, I don't know what's going on with him, that he's the one that should be rallying the troops. He's the one that should be like, I'm the veteran. We need to rally everyone together. I think that's what Cody was doing. And I don't think Cody got enough credit that he was the heart and soul of that rallying the troops. And they need somebody to step up and do that. And Punk, there's a lot of stuff going around with Punk. Remember the interview that he did with Triple H when Triple H went a little off script on Punk, when John Cena went off script on Punk? There might be a little bit of truth to that. I don't know if Punk is going to be the person that's going to rally the troops like they need to. Punk is the draw. Punk is the face. So that is great. And he loves the business, but I think when push comes to shove, he'll fight you before he'll have the Undertaker court that calms you down and gets you in line.
Well, I mean, this is the guy that got so fed up he left for 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So obviously he's got very strong feelings about how things should work and where his place should be in things. What I was trying to tell you the other day was, like, I'd been hearing all the dirt sheet stuff, all the rumors, all the heat, and I hadn't watched the show for the week, so I was catching up on the show late. And I watched the show, and I'm thinking, this is still good. Like, I like the show. Everything is working here. If I didn't know about any of the behind the curtain stuff, I would still be enjoying the show just as much. I think it's good. Yeah, it was great. Last week's episode was fantastic. So it just makes me it just makes me wonder how much of that stuff. Tony Khan he's what is he? Is he a Gen Z? Millennial? Is he millennial? He might be a millennial. So I mean, he's more in tune with how social media works. Yeah. How information gets passed around that way. I don't know. I want to believe there's not a lot of heat and that it's being spun up, because AEW for the last few years was just beautiful. Yeah. We needed it so much. Yeah. And it woke WWE up. It did. 100%. Yeah. And because of it, I feel like wrestling on the internet is over, Yeah. A lot of stuff. I think it brought out a lot of great stuff. The losing of the war woke WWE up. NXT lost to AEW. Yeah. Did we expect all of a sudden this stuff with Vince to happen, and now Triple H is taking over, and maybe that was not the war, maybe that was just a battle, and now the war continues, and now Triple H is getting all the babyface steam, and like you said, Tony Khan is taking heat. Here's the thing, I don't think they're in danger of going out of business, and September is going to be huge for them because they got to sign that new deal with Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery. They got to sign a new deal, so their ratings, everything needs to be on point for this deal to be as lucrative as it can and will be, and I think it will. I don't think they're in danger of, this isn't WCW 2000 when you're like, oh man, they're going out of business. But the locker room got really crowded and they didn't have a lot of time.
for a lot of the people. So these next shows, and I think is Quake at the Lake, is that tonight?
I'm not sure.
I think it's tonight. They just need to be putting on TV shows like they did last week. They need to get MJF back and have that be a little bit of that work shoot. I'd love to see somebody really rise up and become the Undertaker / John Cena / Roman Reigns now of the locker room to control the boys so Tony Khan can do his thing. Because Tony Khan clearly knows what he's doing business-wise. I don't think that's going to be his problem. But when you're trying to wrangle professional wrestlers, I think that's something he maybe never really dealt with at this level. What would Tony Khan have done in Eric Bischoff's position when the wrestlers were running the show? Because there was no locker room leader then. There was locker room cliques, right? Hogan had his clique. Sting and Luger had everybody had these small cliques. You need somebody running the show. And if it's not going to be Punk, I would like it to be Jericho. But I don't know him enough, but I feel like he gets a lot of heat too, that he's just glomming onto these younger guys. And I don't know if that's true or not, but he's trying to, in the business, he's always changing himself. And I think he has to do that. Or else what is he going to do?
He's a creator.
Yeah.
He's a true creator.
He's an artist. I mean, There's no doubt about it. So why wouldn't he want to do business with the hot? And I think he is giving people the rub. That stuff he did with Orange Cassidy, all the mimosa match and all that stuff, I think that worked really well. He brought this company to where it is right now. He was a big part of that. Yeah. Oh, Sting would be another one. Good call, Jay. I'd like to see Sting step up and really rally the troops, because they're clearly these guys are there. And again, Brian is another one. He could be somebody that people look up to. And the whole thing was of taking veterans' advice. But I think there needs to be more. When Undertaker gave you advice, it wasn't optional. And and maybe a lot of these younger guys are thinking that this advice is optional. It's not optional. You do listen to the guys who've been through the trenches. And Punk and Brian and Sting and Chris Jericho, these guys have been all through it. Arn Anderson is back there. This isn't an optional advice. This is what's going to keep you going. Now they got Steamboat there. Maybe keep Steamboat there. Somebody needs to be the locker room leader, and then he needs a couple of wrestling minds, and then he can be in that Vince McMahon role. He can't do it all.
I loved Bryan Danielson giving Steamboat the handshake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good to meet you, sir.
Yes. Yeah, that's great, right?
Yeah.
That's respect. And I think Brian, that is just the kind of guy who he was.
The show is good. It's despite, we're at the thing is, when AEW was new, they had 8 wrestlers?
Yeah.
And the first thing you notice is wow, they need a few more folks on a team.
Yeah.
They need a few more options. Now they have unlimited options.
Oh my God.
Way too many options. And I can't help but wonder if in Vince McMahon's mind, this was part of what he was wanting to do, was flood them with talent, let Tony Khan go crazy signing.
Dude, it's eerie.
And create this backlog at your show. Whereas now, before you were trying to get creative to book a show with 8 wrestlers. Now you've got 25 great wrestlers on your roster, and you can't figure out how to book them.
It's eerie.
And you already had issues because AEW already has multiple things that they weren't great at yet. They don't know how to book a big guy.
No.
They're having trouble booking the women's division, aside from Britt Baker.
Yep.
And they don't know how to book a babyface champ.
No, you're right. Wow. And those 3 are vital. Those 3 are completely vital for professional wrestling in 2022.
They had not figured these things out yet, and now they have so many options that it's just, I don't know. It's chicanery.
Yeah,
Google that word.
It's chicanery is a good way to put it, because it's eerie. Because Vince, it was almost like he was prophetic, and he's basically, I'm going to force feed all this talent down your throat. And we talked about this a lot. There's a lot of guys that they shouldn't have signed, not because they're not good, because they just didn't have enough spots. It was never personal in the wrestling territories when there wasn't enough spots. That's why you left town lose or leave town and you would go do a fresh gimmick somewhere else where there was another spot. There's not enough spots for everybody right now, and they're just flooded with, and it has nothing to do with talent, because 2022 has probably the most true athletes in professional wrestling than ever before in the history of this business. This isn't a talent thing. There's only a limited number of spots, and Vince did basically cram all these guys down their throat and left them open when he probably should have just signed a handful, and forced these guys to go somewhere else and raise up another company in a true healthy ecosystem. It wasn't just WWF versus WCW. The true healthy ecosystem was WWF, NWA, AWA, World Class, multiple companies in Japan, multiple companies in Mexico. You had a strong company in Germany, and then strong indies to feed from, like Florida, Memphis, Texas. That's the healthy ecosystem. You got to spread it out. And these guys would have been forced to spread out. But then again, who am I to say? Because they need to ply their trade and get paid. And so it's a sensitive time for AEW, but they're not in danger yet. But what the moves that they make now will declare what kind of where they're going in the future. Do you want to do a fake commercial and then open the door for our guest and then go back and do the
Are we at that? Okay, yeah.
And then we'll do the WWF side of this week in pro wrestling right after a word from our fake sponsors.
Boy, I'm bored.
Don't be bored. Join the party. Call 1-976-8888. There's a great time waiting for you right now. Meet new friends or just listen in. Everybody's doing it. So call 1-976-8888.
Where was that party?
So, what are you waiting for? Don't be left out on all the fun. Call right now, 1-976-8888. 88 cents per minute billed to your phone. Brought to you by Omegaphone.
Just like you, I was really skeptical about which one of the party lines is really the best. It's 1-976-BEST. It's easier than going to some single spar. The phone's right there within your reach. And it's a real kick because you get started talking with everyone on the line right away. I got together with this guy I met on the best party line, and I'll tell you, it's fun, exciting, and the best way for you to meet someone new. The best party line. It's just a phone call away.
Do you sometimes sit alone, wishing for the perfect fantasy? Has love passed you by? Do you dream of encounters with a perfect mate? Or spending precious moments getting close to someone you could really love? For just 99 cents per minute, indulge your fantasy. It's live. Call 1-976-DATE now.
Do it.
All right,
we're back. So, yeah, sorry, we had a little bit of rant. I had to open the door, make sure we didn't mess anything up. But the other side...
Folks don't know the studio is huge. Yeah. Like right now, you're like 40 feet away from me.
Yeah,
that's why you got to wear headphones, because you can't hear what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, it's the Muppet Show. They have no idea. 99 cents is cheap now. It's like $3.99. That's right. Slava, you have no idea. These commercials... We need to have a gimmick commercial with Slava, but that's another conversation. So... But let's go to the other side of that. With Vince being gone, and Triple H made his statement of this is my creative now by all of a sudden re-signing a ton of talent, which I did not see coming at all. He re-signed a ton of NXT talent that were future endeavored, and now they're all coming back. And he's putting them on the main brand, with the biggest one who got a monster pop was Johnny Wrestling. Johnny Gargano showing back up as a WWE Raw superstar, not even NXT. Obviously, he's the NXT. He did everything in NXT, but can you imagine what is Vince doing in his rocker that he has somebody that's sub 6 foot tall, sub 200 pounds, not named Bryan Danielson, that showed up on Raw and got a monster pop and basically said, I am here to go for every title. I'm going for the IC title. I'm going for the US title. I might even go for the world title.
Yeah.
That was huge. When that music, and I think it was a slow burn. Like the crowd was unsure what was happening. And then when they realized Gargano was back, to me, it was very telling of how many true wrestling fans are back in it. Because I don't know how many of the casuals knew who Gargano was, but the true fans do. And those facial reactions, like, he got a nice pop. And they were all week pushing that Rebel Heart song. I mean, it was awesome. Did you watch it? I sent you the tweet, so you saw it.
You sent me the tweet. I didn't watch Raw. I mean, I catch bits of it. Podcasts in the house. I catch bits of it. It's still an insurmountable watch for me to commit 3 hours.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll wait for the Hulu cut down version. It's a big commitment. But yeah, everything I've seen is definitely, it just feels different. It feels, I don't know, it feels more natural. It feels less staged.
Yeah.
I think it still has the WWE gloss.
Right, it does.
Which I think it sometimes is a disadvantage for it, you know?
Yep.
AEW has the backroom, barroom sort of carny feel, whereas this one has we're legit sport feel, which I don't always love. But I'm definitely interested again. I'm giving it a chance. What I've seen, I enjoy. Yeah, I feel like it's in a good spot.
I think it's in a really good spot. Yeah, and I'm don't get me wrong, I still watch on fast forward on Raw because 3 hours is still too much. But everything feels very fresh. He did the right thing where after SummerSlam, he's like, okay, we're firing all cylinders. We're going to get people back. And I think the biggest get that they're going to get back that's going to show that they are not playing games, and this is Triple H show, is when The Fiend comes back. I think The Fiend is 100% coming back. And Triple H realized, wait a minute, this guy was supposed to be the next Undertaker. How did he walk out the door?
Wait, which theme?
The Fiend.
Oh, The Fiend is coming back.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt's definitely coming back to WWE.
He's coming back now. Yeah, there's no, and I think it probably worked. And he was the only one that I think TK should have signed and didn't sign. And now
he might not have wanted to sign.
Yeah, maybe not. But he
was making a movie. He's got a movie coming out.
He does have a movie coming out. So I think it's the right thing to get Fiend back as fast as possible, just in time for, I'd like to see him come back, at their Halloween show, and then just make his appearance at the Halloween pay-per-view, whatever that may be, and then have his first match back at Survivor Series. Bring back the Survivor Series teams. I mean, the sky's the limit for WWE. And Mike Bushnell, he called it on this, that never count WWE out. And for a while, even I was like, oh, maybe this time you really do have to count them out. But getting Vince out the door really escalated this war to another level that I didn't expect would happen. And that's great. And we want that healthy ecosystem of pro wrestling. So I'm rooting for Triple H as much as I'm rooting for TK. I want them both to succeed. I want a third big territory. Raise Impact. I want some good indie territories. Give NWA Power a chance. I want them to feed these bigger systems, but it feeds the bigger system as a whole when they're successful too. So that's end of rant, I guess.
Solid rant.
Solid rant. So, but it's good timing because I do want to jump into our social media update, and I think what better person to have for a social media update than friend of the show, the Geek Commander himself, Brian Rose. Brian, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
How are you doing? Thanks for showing up.
Is that the applause button? Did I hit the right button?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
we live for the applause. So
I don't get it often, so it's nice to have it every once in a while.
And I know this is a big trek for you, but you're always great to have in the audience, and we have tons of content that I want to get your perspective on. But I kind of threw this one at you, a curveball, because we just kind of came up with this one you're driving over. So we whipped up quick theincredibles.com, and I was having this debate with my son of like, how important is the .com to have in 2022 versus having tons of presence, whether it's on Patreon, all your socials, but do you still need to have that one place where everything parked? So I was just like, okay, let me just whip up a page and see what it looks like. So I want to, you have a monitor there. I just want to first to look at the page, see what you think of the page, and then kind of get your idea from your professional expertise of what we should be doing and not doing when it comes to a .com. So Mario, do you have that have our site there. So we just whipped up a quick site. It just threw one of our videos in there, our many videos that was
This video was on television.
This is
I feel like the mom in Requiem for a Dream.
I know, right?
We were on television.
This was, right? This got nice. Shout out to Shudder.
I didn't even know you were working on this, dude, when you texted me this earlier.
Yeah,
we have a website now? I had no idea.
It was literally like on a Saturday.
Look at this thing scrolling over here.
I woke up from a nap, and then I was like, oh, I need to get back on the gym train. But I just had an idea, and I was like, let's go for it. So what I did was I parked that video there. The first page, the first section of the website after that video is for a shortcut to all our house show live links, and then that's an auto subscribe button. If they clicked on that, that'll automatically subscribe to our YouTube page. And then I do try to differentiate that we also do have a podcast that we're filming live, but we pick certain spots in the show to make them a podcast. But then that goes to our link tree, which I felt like was our lifeblood before, right? Because again, we have all this social media sprawl. Where's the one place that you can put it all? So I put our link tree in there. And then we were a little bit late to the game with our Patreon, but we have our Patreon. We're starting to grow it there too. And look, yeah, it'll link. You can actually get Inception, and it'll watch what we're doing right now live.
It is.
Yes.
We're being incepted.
But I've been posting our stuff on our Patreon because that's where we'll need to start growing our stuff. The next step is Pod Swag. We'll get our swag in there. And then at the bottom there, for live events, so far we're going to do spot shows, but right now we just have our live YouTube page and then all the social links at the bottom. So I know that was a lot, but what should we be doing and not be doing in your professional opinion when it comes to having a .com?
So when it comes to having a website, I mean, historically .com is just what everyone knows. It's not as important as some people may try to tell you it is, but it's still important, and it's probably more important than you may think.
Okay.
Just because in the end, having a .com, it's what everyone's familiar with.
Right.
And unless you're going to buy those other domains like a .co, .net, .org, all those kind of things, it's nice to have the .com just because it's the ease. And you're going to have a lot of people who aren't always going to be tech savvy, and so having that central hub with that specific domain is going to be easier, because if you have the same domain but it's a .co, it could end up going to a different site if you don't own that.
Right.
And if you have a CO and you don't have the .com, it's a lot harder. You lose a lot more people because people are so used to typing the .com and they're not used to taking off that M.
Yeah.
Or typing in a .net. So if you can always get a .com, I always recommend it. I've actually, on some of the quote-unquote brands that I've kind of worked on, like I've literally changed the name of an idea that I had just because I couldn't get the .com and the social handles for it. Because having that kind of omnipresence, I feel, is important. It's not a death knell if you don't, but that's the first step at making sure that you're kind of like omnipresent across the board.
So like just getting that SEO traffic, if someone happens to search Those Incredibles, that eventually will, like, I think right now the first thing that comes up is our YouTube page.
Yeah.
And our images are actually beating Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles, which we're very proud of. But yeah, we did grab, so right now, thoseincredibles.com, that's going to the page we built. We also have thoseincrediblesnetwork.com, which is going to our Patreon page. And then we have a podcast Gimmick, which is the sub show of Those Incredibles that just does the podcast. And that .com goes to our anchor page where it has all the, but it's just finding the way to wrangle it all together. So you're saying it is still important that we should have this landing spot, even if it is just a check-in or browse of where to get to everything and compiled in one place.
Yeah, I kind of feel like websites, and even like when you're talking about Linktree, like I use Linktree for mine, but Linktree is specifically for mobile.
Yeah.
I mean, you can open it up on a desktop, but it just doesn't look the same. And so it's a lot harder, depending on where you go to build your site, to actually have a truly mobile optimized website that requires sometimes if you go through like GoDaddy or Squarespace, they'll come with mobile optimized versions of it. But having a link tree, I think, is a little bit easier, just because you can kind of just pick the link and it's right there. You don't have to deal with everything else. So having like a repository like that is good. That's kind of how I feel like websites are. Unless you're physically selling something, having the website basically allows you to have a repository where it's a central hub where everyone can come, if they're on a desktop, and find everything about you, whether it's, who you are, the podcast feed, the YouTube feed, all the social handles,
All there.
all the stuff like that. It basically gives you that kind of advantage to where you have one central hub where you can send someone to, and then they can kind of filter
What they want.
how they want to go. So if they go to the website and they're like, well, I'm looking for the Facebook page or the Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is, they can find it there. They could also search, but a lot of people who are skewing a little older just don't have the patience for that.
Yeah, they
And
want it in a spot.
They just want to go to one place and have it. And so having the website, again, it's not you're screwed if you don't have it, but it's always good to have one. And then if you've got one that you can build with, you can have that .com branding on it and push your content across your other channels, but link to that kind of central hub. It's going to be beneficial.
That's going to be there. Yeah.
Here's like an out-of-the-box idea. What if we just bypass the website and social media completely and just go with a 976 number? Folks can actually call us for 99 cents a minute as opposed to subscribing to the Patreon. And we use that money to, fund the show.
Hey, man, those 1-900 numbers were basically OnlyFans back in the day. Audio OnlyFans.
Just call. 99
I'm-
cents a minute.
I'm fine posing for the commercial if y'all want to.
If you want to put it out there.
To be clear, those were not phone sex. It was just, you literally would call and folks are just, hey, what's going
They
on?
talk
Just
to
hang
you.
out.
They just like, you have a really nice voice and you like to listen. Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I don't know. I was feeling the sprawl even building the site because other than Pandora, I don't know what your delay is. We're literally on every platform. Our podcast pushes to every iHeartRadio, Reacher, Stitcher, everyone. They're pushing everything. Do we provide a link for every? Now, Linktree has it like if you put one link, it'll tell you all the platforms you're unveiled, and that's like a new feature that just came out. But like, am I supposed to say, hey, we're on Audible too, and we're on Amazon Music too, and we're on iHeartRadio here, or do we just go with the ones that everyone knows? You're going to be on Apple, Google, and Spotify. I don't ever know which one to share.
Yeah, I mean, I think having that's one of the benefits of having a Linktree with stuff like that is because, with Linktree specifically, because I use Linktree for the company that I work for and for my own personal stuff. And it's nice because they give you, and we should just get Linktree to sponsor this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice.
Linktree.com.
Once you get the paid version of it, you get the more customized branding, but you have all the additional links that you can add on there. Like you can add a Spotify playlist, or you can add donation links, Patreon links. You can add all these extra things. And then what I always tell people is like, have the content that you're wanting to share at the top, because with Linktree you can actually build little headers to where it's not a link, it's just a segment, and so you can kind of separate that. Because like on our business one, I work at a bowling center, and so we have
a great bowling center, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we have like a link that shows, here's the upcoming events, and here's bowling information, and here's our new axe throwing, and here's our menus, and here's all this kind of stuff, and we segment it out that way people can just kind of scroll through and find, almost like a website, you can kind of scroll through and find the exact part. And with having all those multiple feeds, you can put a simple little repository like Listen to Us Now, and then have a link for Apple Music and, Stitcher and all that kind of stuff. And just that way you can link directly to that platform to where you can find it.
No, that's good. And I like the axe throwing is basically aerial bowling with axes.
Yeah, it's super nice. And the fact that we have the throwing cards and the ninja stars.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw you throwing those. I watched your videos. Very cool.
Yeah, I've been throwing the ninja stars like crazy.
That's awesome. So Mario, before we get off of this, let's just go through the experience, right? So Google Those Incredibles right now, if you don't mind, and let's see what happens. Let's see what comes up, and then let's pull up, see if it brings us to our link tree. Let's see if that works before we go to. Otherwise, we can just pull the video right up. Like I said, I'm proud. I think our SEO steam is finally taking over Mr. Incredible. All right, look at that. I mean, that's pretty good. So so what's the first actual web page though? So you got your videos. So it is YouTube is the first link. Right? Chuckles is on. That one just posted. Okay, there it is. So the first one is our YouTube. All right, so
Instagram next. Linktree, Patreon, Pinterest. No, but this is not us.
Oh no, I tagged some of our Pinterest stuff in there.
Okay,
yeah, I did.
So Pinterest is ahead of our site.
All right, so it's not there, but then it's only been a couple of days. So let's go to the website if you don't mind. So just go to theincredibles.com, and then let's see. I want to show what Brian was just talking about because I think that's really important for us. So now scroll down, and then go to the left of the podcast one. So all of it available on all major podcast platforms. So that should open up our link tree. And there you go. And that's what Brian was talking about. See those little widgets at the top. And again, this is where I had confusion because obviously all those widgets are active, but then I also have links at the bottom, how to get to our Twitter, how to get to our Instagram. But what's new is you hit that drop down on that first one, it'll start showing what we're doing right now, right? Boom. So we have that there. And then if you preview the same thing on our latest podcast Gimmick, you can actually start playing it in there. Boom. So this stuff is, that was, oh, Brian, you would appreciate that. We had a nice pitch.
Oh, yeah, I listened to it.
Oh, man. I want to see this film so bad. We are dose Inception. That's right. But if you go back on that, Mario, there was one other spot I wanted to show. So go back to our link tree. So see, not the third link is this auto subscribe. Use your favorite platform to stream a podcast Gimmick. So hit the drop down there. So this is new, right to a little higher and then to the right. One more up, and now the drop down to the right. So this is a new feature. Now it automatically will show you where you can listen. So if you do see all, now it's doing it again, where it's basically like, where do you want to listen? Because they're on all these things. So you don't even have to do it anymore. So Linktree, sponsor us, because this is a free tier that's giving us a lot of value, you know.
I've been using them for probably the last couple of years at various places I've worked, and it's kind of interesting to see how they've grown. They're really nice and responsive too, because I've contacted them before, like saying, hey, I would love to see this. I'm paying. I would love to see this. And they've done a couple of things that I really like that, I mean, I'm not the only one asking for it, but like you showed off, like being able to automatically click a link and it displays the video and starts playing.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's also doing it with TikTok as well too. You can put a TikTok video in there and it'll automatically start playing that.
Oh, really? I didn't know it did that too.
Yeah, so they're making a lot of changes.
Man, I
and
have
stuff
to
like
do that. Yeah, so I'm all for it. Like, I'm very close to doing we're trying to figure out where to focus our energy next, right? And obviously I think we need the merch. We need to go on there, but getting it out there and just basically hurting the kittens that is the sprawl that's everywhere.
Just to be clear, is that a no on the 976 number?
I don't think that's ever a no, but I think it would be awesome to have it. Just bring our cell phone. But let's before we get into the next segment though, Mario, we might need to do a sound check on the Geek Commander. I don't know, he was coming in a little bit low on the oh,
why didn't you tell me?
But I think I just started hearing it towards the end, but once we start talking about the She-Hulk, I don't know if he needs to pull the mic higher, you think, or is it something? Because it sounded like he was almost in the distance a little bit, and JJ can confirm.
Word, yeah, I wasn't wearing headphones. Okay.
So
can you talk a little bit, Brian?
Yeah, I can absolutely talk. I can
go ahead and pull that mic closer to you.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
There you go. Yeah, get it into the camera shot.
That much better?
Yeah, that sounded better. That sounds better. I don't know if it'll stay locked.
I don't think it will right now.
Oh, that's way better though.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
See, okay, you've got to use that piece of tape to hold it in place.
Gotcha.
This is how these things work.
Yeah, we're getting upgrades. We're just talking about the upgrades coming up to the studio, and it's funny. We're getting to the point where we're under equipped, and this studio is baller compared to some of the other studios. But we're growing so fast. So, but I really wanted, especially for this next one, I've been really, really psyched to get Geek Commander in the house for this one, because I got to tell you, other than Loki and WandaVision, this was the one that I was really, really looking forward to. And I stayed up at 2 a.m. I rolled the dice, even though we got burned by Boba Fett. I was like, no, I'm going to stay up and I'm going to watch it. And I have no regrets on She-Hulk. So Brian, right out of the gate, I got to tell you, I loved it. It's like if I had a top 3 of Marvel shows on Disney Plus, I put Wanda because you never forget your first. I put Loki because that's just tying together the whole multiverse saga. And I'm going She-Hulk. I'm putting She-Hulk in there. I feel like it honored everything that came before and then set up for the future, where a lot of the other ones I had, like Moon Knight and even Miss Marvel, they were so encapsulated in trying to establish who this character was, and they had a lot of trouble tying it to how they fit into the story altogether. Like, they still got to figure out how. You have no idea how they're going to shoehorn in Miss Marvel or Moon Knight. It's clear, like, She-Hulk she's already in it. And she had the benefit of the Hulk, and everyone's dying for a Hulk movie. This may have even set up a new Planet Hulk, World War Hulk. It may have set that up. And then you're setting up the next generation of Daredevil during this show. I mean, I loved it. What did you guys think?
I mean, I loved it. I've been a She-Hulk fan just of the character for a while.
Yeah.
And so there's actually a couple of really good runs that have been put out recently in the comics. So I've always kind of really dug it. When they announced it, I was super excited. When they announced Tatiana Maslany as playing her, I was like, that's great casting.
Fantastic casting. She was awesome.
I do appreciate the fact that they didn't try to use her and then try to find someone else to play the She-Hulk version.
Oh, not do the Bill Bixby,
yeah,
Lou
I think
Ferrigno
doing
thing.
the motion capture worked. I mean, they showed that it worked with Ruffalo, and so
yeah,
I like the fact that they went ahead and just kept doing that with her. I think she's got the personality to pull it off. The character in the comics is very similar to how she's playing her. She is. Oh, did my sound come out?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
Pull that mic a little closer to you, though.
How's that?
Yeah, there you go. That's even deeper.
Okay.
Yep.
So I like the fact that the character itself has kind of been not really featured heavily throughout the MCU at all.
No.
So it's nice they're bringing her in. She's got a very sarcastic tone. She's in, we saw it in the show a little bit, her breaking the fourth wall, Deadpool style.
But before Deadpool,
but yeah,
right?
in the comics, she even kind of broke that fourth wall. So
it was great. She was like ripping through tiles. She would jump to other tiles, or she would talk to the writers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought that was great, and they just gave you a little taste of it in this, but I think that's going to work really well. I mean, obviously it works well with Deadpool because Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds, so it was very questionable, like, is she going to be able to pull it off? I think she did. Yeah,
I think so, and I'm I haven't watched the newest episode because it's today. That's where I'm going. As soon as I leave here, I'm going home and watch it.
Yeah.
It's also, I'll say that I love the fact that Marvel and Disney made that choice to not put them all out at once.
Yeah.
It sucks as a fan because you want it all. You've gotten used to, Netflix having just everything out immediately. But being able to have something to look forward to every week is nice. And so, this is, with all of the Marvel shows, people will have their opinions, but honestly, I haven't been disappointed with one yet.
Yeah.
I've liked each of them for their own thing. I liked how different they are, while also being similar.
Yeah, that's true. They all have a different flavor for sure.
And even the ones that aren't made for everyone. Everyone's been complaining about Ms. Marvel, about how the viewership hasn't been as high as the other shows. But if you look at that viewership and the demographic that's watching it are young, heavily people of color.
Yeah.
Which is what they need. They need to be more inclusive with everything. And you're starting to see that. I think they're showing that they're less worried about pleasing everyone and starting to find those kind of niche areas.
That was niche, 100%.
Where they can show, because for me, Ms. Marvel worked perfectly. It's not made for me, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It still worked for me 100%. But it's
Agreed.
also a show that my 11-year-old daughter loved as well, too. She may not care as much about Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Loki or even WandaVision, but she loved Ms. Marvel, and it fit her personality and her style that she wants to watch. And it was kind of up to me to accept that and actually enjoy it, which was easy because it's such a good show.
Yeah. Well, here's the hot take, and I'm going to say it right here on television. I had trouble with it because it was made for a very specific audience that I didn't fit in, but I'm a mark for Marvel, so I muscled through. And I think it ended stronger than Moon Knight. That's my take, because Moon Knight, I was ready for, this is going to be Marvel's Batman. Let's do this. And it was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't good. But I think Miss Marvel finished stronger and made more sense, where Moon Knight was just this encapsulated thing that, again, like you said, they're all at different levels, but I think Miss Marvel finished stronger.
I definitely agree. I think, honestly, Ms. Marvel had one of my favorite episodes of any Marvel TV show. And spoiler alert.
Yeah. We got a new spoiler sting. We got to show you the new spoiler sting.
Nice. But, with Ms. Marvel, that episode where we watch her go back and visit her ancestors.
Oh, that was good. Yeah,
that was such a beautifully shot episode. The whole episode was told wonderfully. And I enjoyed that episode of TV more than just about any other show. I mean, every show's kind of had a great episode here and there, but that 5th episode of Miss Marvel is up there with the rest of them.
I think that's when it started getting, like, because I even admit, like, the early episode I watched on Fast Forward, I'm like, okay, I think that little turn is when it started to get stronger and like, pull me in. But I never read Miss Marvel, so I wasn't familiar. But when it came to She-Hulk, I love, there's Superman, Batman, and DC. That's always your tops. For me, Marvel always was represented by clearly Spider-Man and Incredible Hulk. I mean, those were my two. I mean, I know a lot of people say no X-Men, and then the later fans are going to say no Iron Man. But Iron Man I always saw as the B character compared to Hulk and Spider-Man. And Mario, I told you, I was hype train for She-Hulk. And I think it delivered on all fronts. And I was even trying to work on a Ruffalo. Captain America's not a virgin. He lost his virginity in 1940 on a U.S. tour. I knew it. I mean, I was in bed at 2:30 in the morning, and I popped out loud to the point where the dog started barking. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I had to. Because Captain America, But Mario, what did you think? What did you think of Hulk? Because I know you were uncertain of it.
I'm still not sold on it, honestly.
You're still not sold.
No, I think they might have benefited. In my case, they might have benefited by releasing a couple of episodes. So I get into the show. I thought the first episode, the premiere felt really rushed and like they were just cramming a lot of information in there. Not sold on the lawyer story. I just don't know what it is. It doesn't really feel right to me. I don't know if it's for me. And I was hoping, because I really used to like Ally McBeal. And I do
that was my comparison.
Lawyer shows in general I like.
Yeah.
It feels like it's going for that, but I don't know. It's not working for me yet.
Well, I heard, and we watch a lot of other YouTubers out here reviewing this, and everybody, the critics got 4 episodes, the ones that are putting the ratings on.
Yeah, see, that makes sense, because I just don't feel like there was enough given to us in that first episode
to rate it. So supposedly that episode 4 is when things are going to break open for the people who are unsure of where this is going.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I was just marking out. I love the slow motion scene in the car. Put that on our socials. I love the chopsticks with the Cheetos. I'm a Ruffalo guy, so I think I think he added a lot to the show, and it actually tied a lot of the questions that people had about Endgame, because you realize, because at the end, the last time we saw Hulk was in Shang-Chi, and he still had the arm sling in, and you're like, how is he going to heal his arm? And they actually tied this, and like her blood is what healed his arm, and they tied that together. They explained on why she's better. They kind of got into the competition, not better, but different. But they always had that sibling rivalry because they're cousins, right? People are like, why were they fighting so much? Mario, I thought of you. I was like, is this their they live moment? Like the two heroes are fighting each other as hard as they can, but you realize they're Hulks. Of course that's how they're gonna fight. So I don't know. I think I do see what people are saying, but I feel like it did a really good job of honoring everything before it and how this is gonna fit into the future scheme, because she has to play a part coming up. And if it turns into Planet Hulk, where, because that ship, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, that is the ship from Thor Ragnarok, the Jeff Goldblum character, and that spaceship. So by changing that origin story, and he said, "Oh, I don't know why that ship was here. I got to look into that." And that's going to lead into, "Hey, you had a bunch of Hulk kids, and you got to come back to this planet. It's your kids, Marty. Something's got to be done about your kids." And he goes back to that planet. We have a Planet Hulk, and then we finally get a Hulk movie. I'm in.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with Hulk going forward. We're kind of in this era of the MCU where we've had, that 10-year period with the first 3 phases technically, and going forward we have to change something. A lot of things are going to change. We're not going to have the same lineup, and they've already started sowing the seeds through the movies and the shows, bringing in possibly Young Avengers, things like that. So there's going to be a completely different lineup, but you're also going to have those nuggets, those kind of threads from that previous era, which is why you're going to need to have Hulk in somehow. You're going to need to have Thor and things like that to kind of thread through, but you're going to be transitioning into the new roster, basically. Yeah. And so you're going to have those kind of... People are going to have to let go of what's been before and embrace what's coming as well too.
The pro wrestling rub, right? The legends have to give the rub to the new character so you get that new lineup is over. Although, here's a rumor, Mari, I don't know if you heard this or not, and Brian, you may, I don't know if you heard this too. There's a rumor going around that at the end of the multiverse saga, which is ending with, you know, the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, Feige might be done. And that's huge. So if he's going to go out, how do you top the Avengers Assemble scene in Endgame? Well, now you get the new heroes, the old, and then is that when you're going to bring back Old Man Cap? Is that when Tony's going to come in? Is that when Tom Cruise is going to be, you're going to have, you know, the X-Men, the Fox X-Men, that might be the big moment. So you're going to have the rub for all these new characters, and what better way to give them the rub than having them stand next to Hugh Jackman just one time in Secret Wars, right? That establishes that they are part of this same universe, and then he might drop the mic after that. And
I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, he's made, by that point, he will have made close to 50 Marvel films, so
yeah,
you know, he might be ready to move on.
And that's scary. Like, is that an RIP moment, as JJ put it, for the MCU if they don't have that one person? Because we see when you have lore and not somebody leading the way with vision, like in Star Wars, it's very shaky.
I mean, I think they're safe as long as they've got one hand on the wheel. I think where things get really, things can get muddled is when you've got multiple folks trying to drive the MCU train.
Yeah.
Let someone's decisions be, like you said, with Vince McMahon. Someone's got to be the beginning and end of everything.
Yeah.
And you've got to designate that, and you've got to trust them. If you have everybody chiming in where it's just like, let's fix this, let's change this, things get muddled, the vision gets muddled, the direction gets, off the track. They've got to pick somebody and trust them.
Like they did with Feige, like they should be doing with Filoni. You got to have that one person that the buck stops with you. So it's still a hell of a run, even if that's the end. That's got to be never in the history of Hollywood that had something that hardcore since 2008, and then if he ends it in 2025 with a double header with Kang, if that's the direction it's going, oof, that's going to be so good. But let's jump back to Hulk, because there is something I want to ask both of you on this. I'm not much on, I see a lot of the stuff, the woke stuff. I don't always fully understand it, because I don't see problems with being inclusive and making sure everybody's included and make sure somebody never feels like, I think a joke is funnier when everyone's laughing, not when you're laughing at one person. So, but the thing about the woke heat that She-Hulk is getting is, we know she's always talked to the camera the way she did. We know she was smart alecky towards Hulk, and they have a sibling rivalry where I'm doing things better. She's always done that. And Brian, you read the comics. That's what she's always done. I am better than you at this. And it was supposed to be, that's what that boulder throwing contest, that wasn't woke. She's been doing that since the beginning to show that she was the better Hulk. Don't agree? I don't think it's as heavy-handed as people are saying.
No, I kind of feel like it's really just people bitching to bitch.
Yeah.
We saw the same thing with the new Star Wars trilogy, because everyone was saying, oh, Rey's such a Mary Sue. She's just so good at all this kind of stuff. If you want to talk about Mary Sue, look at Anakin Skywalker. He's building droids and pods as a small little child and all this kind of stuff. It's basically just people unhappy that something isn't exactly what they want it to be.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's kind of what nerd and geek culture has kind of slowly started turning in, not slowly, but has turned into.
Yeah.
And usually it's the vocal minority that shouts the loudest about that kind of stuff. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with, like you said, being more inclusive. Miss Marvel's a prime example. Or even, Moon Knight. Having, an Egyptian cast, even though Oscar wasn't.
Yeah.
But bringing in people of that ethnicity. Same thing with Shang-Chi. And with Miss Marvel, bringing people of those ethnicities to tell a truer story. It doesn't matter if it's for you or not.
Right.
If the story is good and the story feels honest and true, that's all that matters.
That's all that really should matter.
Because in the end, it's going to find its audience, and as long as it's good. And they've really done a good job they've built that foundation of good storytelling. Like, even the worst Marvel movie is better than most of the best DC movies.
True.
Save a few. And so they've done a really good job of building up. They know what's going to tell a good story, even if it's the same story over and over again, which has been an issue that they've dealt with.
Yeah.
But they've got a handle on how to tell good stories and make these characters engaging. And now they've turned the focus on to who they're reaching and trying to cast that wider net to make sure that everyone has something. I mean, you didn't hear all these comparisons when Black Panther was coming out.
Oh,
and Black
man.
Panther is one of the best films they've done.
Oh,
and
hands down, yeah.
There's only a handful of white people in that movie.
Right.
But it's still beautiful and amazing. And so people were a little more accepting of that, I think, because it was a male character to begin with. And so you'll start seeing people pushing back against the female characters, which they historically have done. But Marvel has done a good job of basically saying, go fuck yourself. We're going to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
We're going to tell the stories we want to tell. We like these characters. And for the most part, most of the people complaining are the ones that really didn't know about the characters to begin with.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like Marvel's at this point now where like, we don't care. What are you going to do? Not go see our movie?
Right.
Well, then you'll get it spoiled for you. Everyone's going to come see our movies. So if they could be going Transformers right now and just putting out a crappy movie every 2 years.
Right.
And people are going to go see it because it's robots fighting each other. They care enough to
Robots in disguise.
Exactly. But they know enough to put a good story into it so that they can build this overall universe and keep people coming back, because there's a reason why no one really cares about a new Transformers movie, even though the last one was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and it's got to be, you got to care about these characters. You got to, it can't just be about the effects. And look, just to jump back really quick, not to sound like Jamie Kennedy on Scream, if you watch Prom Night, you save time. All they had to do to fix Ray is that if you watch The Bourne Identity, you save time. That would fix everything. Somehow the Emperor comes back, did not fix everything. But if you turned it into The Bourne Identity, we're talking about a completely different story. Mario, I know you have a different take on this too. What is your take on the? Was it too woke? Not woke enough? Did you feel the wokeness?
I think the wokeness stands out because the She-Hulk. What's the name of the She-Hulk character?
Jennifer Walters.
Jennifer Walters. Yeah.
I feel like she doesn't have a whole lot to do. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that brings it out. You know, what is her main obstacle here at the beginning? Is she trying to be a top lawyer? Is she trying to get ahead at her job? I'm not really sure what she's doing. So I think when the woke stuff is like in there, it just stands out more.
You feel it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's over the top. I think everything is right on the money as far as like, you know, how things are today and the realities of life. Like when she's getting hassled by the guys at the bar. I thought that was really realistically done. You know what I mean? That's a true thing. But yeah, I don't really feel like I get what the show is at the moment.
Not yet.
I didn't read the comic, mind you. I never really followed it. I'm not sure what I was going to expect. It's somewhere in between a whole MCU show and a lawyer show, I guess.
Lawyer show.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you're calling it the MCU's Ally McBeal is the way it's going to go, but we're going to add some elements. It has the ability to, it's going to bring back great characters, right? We're going to get Abomination and see Emil Blonsky, how he controlled that, and we saw him in Shang-Chi. I feel that's nice, because I like the Ed Norton Hulk movie, and I don't think that should have been thrown away. I like that it's bringing that canon in, but it's going to be something different. And Brian, you said this, like each one of these Marvel shows is something completely different. And this is something that they haven't done before, right? They never did lawyer show, but they're going to put it like superhero style. So I think, though, with all of these shows, and that's include any Netflix show, whatever, these are so cinematic now that it's completely, you have to see all of them before you give your true judgment on it, right? Because we have a video out there, what finales stick the landing. Now, for these shows, which are going to be encapsulated, because no Marvel show has gotten a season 2 yet. Loki's going to be the only one. So we have to just assume, what if these are just the origin stories stuck in there? Did they stick the landing? And we can go back and do that with each Marvel show and see that. So I think we have 9 episodes. So we have 8 more to go, which is up there for a Marvel show. We got 8 more episodes to go. We got to see how they stick the landing, because right now they're focusing on the wokeness. the next thing they're going to be focusing on is how are they going to honor Daredevil? Because Daredevil on Netflix was fantastic. And if that gets tweaked in any way where it's not, this isn't the Daredevil that I loved from Netflix, I think people are going to come with their torches. And the bots are going to come with their torches because they're there just to keep lighting the flame. Right?
Well, you know, I think they've also already done it a little bit where they've shown that it's not going to be the same. Because we saw Kingpin pop up in Hawkeye, which Hawkeye was another one of my favorite shows.
That's the holiday show. You're going to go back. Mario called that, right? That's the Lethal Weapon 2 of Marvel shows.
I've always loved Hawkeye. My wife has a huge thing she likes to mess with me about because when it comes to like the MCU, if there was one guy that I'm like, I want to hang out with him, it's going to be Jeremy Renner. I've always liked him, and I've always liked him as Hawkeye. So I was already predetermined to love this show.
Yeah.
But seeing Kingpin pop up was a great little tease, and he's not the same Kingpin from the Netflix show.
He's slightly tweaked, I agree.
It's a slightly different version, and I think they've kind of bought themselves the credit by introducing the multiverse in a way to where they can write themselves those kind of loopholes to where they can say that the Netflix shows were basically, you know, an alternate timeline that was almost identical, but not quite, just a little bit different, much like they did with Multiverse of Madness. And so it's okay if it's not the exact same show and tone even. You know, I loved the Daredevil Netflix show. I loved Jessica Jones. I loved The Punisher. I loved all those except for, you know, Iron Fist.
Iron Fist.
Nobody likes Iron Fist.
I'm rich. So they've bought themselves a bit of leeway in being able to change that kind of stuff. And quite honestly, I'm almost interested to see where they go with it.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
I agree.
While the Netflix show was good, I think the Netflix shows kind of held their own and exist in that kind of their own little world.
Yeah.
And by bringing in those same characters and maybe having them face a little bit different situation or just act a little bit differently, I don't think that's going to be the end of the world in the way that most people are terrified that it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think you're 100% right. DC, if Ezra Miller would stop beating people up, we would see that they're trying to do the same thing and find a way that to go back and retroactively.
Sidebar, he apologized for that.
He did, right? Did you buy that apology?
His agent had it written on a napkin.
Did the new CEO write the apology for him? But yeah, well, still, again, that's what they're trying to do, retroactively bring all these things into canon, but alternate universe, multiverse canon. So, because a lot of them still have, other than, like you said, Iron Fist, they want to see these characters represented by the same actors because none of the performances were bad, even when the story wasn't bad. I couldn't believe that Defenders didn't work. I expected to see Avengers Infinity War on Netflix as the Defenders, and it was just okay. Like it wasn't bad, but I really wanted it to be. I was literally like Jessica Jones, who I loved in that first season of Jessica Jones. Whew, that is so good. But she's like, I felt like her. Does everybody know karate? Like she literally dropped that, and it was to me that was almost very meta, very telling.
Yeah, I'll say I enjoyed Defenders for what it was.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't what I was hoping and what they had hyped it up to be a little bit, because they did kind of hype it up as the Netflix version of a team up.
Yeah.
I will say the saving grace that I wasn't expecting is that show did the miraculous thing and made me actually care about Iron Fist a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. He did come out the strongest in that.
Tying him with Luke Cage worked.
Right, this Defenders for Hire, right?
Yeah,
that's what they did, yeah.
Doing his solo show just did not work for me at all.
Yeah.
Watched it, but it wasn't really anything. But bringing him in that with the dynamic between him and Luke and Mike Coulter as Luke Cage really worked, and that was one of the few things that actually surprised me a little bit about Defenders, is they actually made me somewhat turn around on a character that I'd kind of just written off.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know we're jumping off She-Hulk, but I got to ask this. Can we see Finn Jones get the Andrew Garfield treatment if MCU gets him? Right? Because Andrew Garfield was not liked and respected as Spider-Man. I'm sorry, I remember he wasn't. And then when you saw him from Far From Home, he got so much love and he got the roses thrown, and everybody, and rightfully so, he was one of the best parts of that film. Can that happen with Finn Jones? Can Kevin Feige, because you want him to book it. I think you're setting a precedent, right? You're going to get Berthenol back as one of the best Punishers. Good. You already got Charlie Cox, you got D'Onofrio. Hopefully you're getting Jessica Jones. You're getting all the same actors. Can they be like, we're just not going to hire Finn Jones. Can you do that?
So I'll come in here with my hot take first.
Okay.
When it comes to Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man 2 is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man movies.
The Raimi Doc Ock one?
The Raimi Doc Ock one.
Yep.
Because that was also when I was in my 20s, and it was, that was the kind of movie that I was like, oh, this is what a superhero movie can be. I think Tom Holland is probably my favorite. I think he's the closest we've really gotten to a true
Peter Parker Spider-Man.
But I loved Andrew Garfield more than I did Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
As Spider-Man.
In the original movies or in the Far From Home?
In the original movies.
Oh, okay.
I really dug Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Okay.
I like the fact that they didn't focus on Mary Jane because everyone had gotten so used to Mary Jane. And plus, I've always loved Gwen Stacy more.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that they focused on her and they didn't make her as much of a damsel. So I really enjoyed his movies. I understand why people don't. But I think that those two movies are stronger than obviously Spider-Man 3. But even I think they hold their own against the original Spider-Man that Raimi did. I don't think they're going to top 2, but I do think that they hold their own with the original Sam
one.
Raimi.
Okay.
And so getting through all of that, it may sound harsh, but Finn Jones didn't do it for me as Iron Fist.
Not at all.
I was never, I didn't read comics as a kid. And I'm just coming this as a comic lover as an adult. And I've read some Iron Fist, but he didn't really embody the character that I've read in the way that I would have wanted to. He, to me, seemed a little too, the way he played him was a little too whiny, a little too just kind of douchey in a way. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to have likability in with the douchiness.
Yeah.
And he really just nothing and maybe it was the writing, but nothing really did that for me to make me care that much about him, which is why Defenders was such a surprise when I actually enjoyed seeing him on screen.
Yeah. He was better in that.
It's hard to be a likable douche.
Yeah.
That's a tough
It's a skill.
Job.
It's a skill.
I somehow manage it, so I'm just going to go with that. So if Feige decides not to bring him back, I'm not going to be heartbroken. If he shows up, cool. I know who he is, but it's not going to be the heartbreak. I would much rather see them bring back Mike Coulter as Luke Cage because I think what they were doing with that character would have been really well received if it had kept going on. There are rumors out that Kristen Ritter is going to show up in She-Hulk in a cameo role as Jessica Jones,
right?
Which I think works really well because in the comics they have a relationship.
They have a rapport, right? Yeah. And she's a private investigator. A lawyer would hire a private investigator. It's in Lawyer Show. It makes sense to have that in there. So, again, I don't know, and maybe I'm just, again, besides being such a huge Hulk universe mark, I just feel like this show has so much potential to really create all these different strings and tie a lot of stuff together. And we want that continuity, right? We've come to expect it with Marvel, that they are the Dean Malenko of movies where there is no wasted movement. When they grab a hold, it rolls to another hold, grab an office, another hold, high spot, and you never see the gaps. And that's why I feel like this could help tie that together.
And I think it's going to take some time too. I think WandaVision was the perfect example because when WandaVision first came out, those first 3 episodes, nobody knew what the fuck was going on.
Well, Mario and I were just talking about that. That was like our first, Those Incredibles' first foray into YouTube was trying to review WandaVision. We go back and they're like, wait, we had no idea what was going on.
Because the show wasn't finished and they just released footage.
Yeah, it was
just an hour's worth of footage.
Yeah, it was like, why didn't you start with episode 4 where it all could have kind of made sense? Because, again, we were all locked up for so long. We were just happy to be getting content, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head with WandaVision.
But I also think that's what they kind of had to break the mold in a way. Everyone has this idea of what Marvel is, and they basically, to Feige's credit, was like, you know what? No, we can surprise you still. And because even those first few episodes, I loved that I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. Oh, the speculation was rampant.
And that's kind of fun for fans too, because then you have them poring over every episode looking for a single clue and whatnot. So I almost like the fact that they didn't. That's
not a good binge show, right? Because it made you think about what was coming next.
Exactly.
So that was perfect for a week-to-week drop versus a binge.
Yeah.
So when I saw Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, when they said, "There's somebody I need to talk to," and they showed the house and they showed her
And you
the
hear that
music.
little tune.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the crowd popped. There wasn't. I wanted pops. I want pops, Mario. We talked about it. We have a video. We want pops in our movie, and Doctor Strange was very void of pops. Even Mr. Fantastic did not get the pop that we hoped. Even Jim from The Office was basically a superhero. I popped, but no, everyone else
pop though. He turned in spaghetti and then he exploded.
Lots of spaghetti. So we wanted that pop, but Wanda got the pop. Daredevil in No Way Home got a huge pop when he got a big pop. So we want those pops in there. So
I want to see the page of the Darkhold that has the spell for exploding spaghetti. Turn someone into exploding spaghetti in the wave of your hand.
Yes, we want to do it. Mara, I got to bring this up to you before we close out on the Hulk spot.
I didn't even
feel
use
like
the She-Hulk thing I had right here.
Oh, you got one there. Yeah, I'll need that before we make our stuff. But this will be good. You can still throw it up there because this is going to be relevant. I feel like, knowing your film taste like I know it, I feel like you are an Eric Bana guy. And I'm even going to go back before Edward Norton. I'm going to Eric Bana, Incredible Hulk. What was your feeling on him as Incredible Hulk pre-MCU? You got to be a Bana guy, right? I feel like he's kind of like your flavor.
I don't think that movie really worked. The original Hulk with Eric Bana?
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that one.
No, but like, how did you feel about like him as Hulk?
I mean, that was a solid casting at the time. I think Ruffalo is probably the best.
Ruffalo's
but I don't have any particular.
I think Nick. I don't know about Nick Nolte as Absorption Man. I think that took a lot of people out because he just had that mugshot at the time too, so it was a little weird. And he was a little bit more rubbery. I know Ang Lee was coming off of. Was that around Crouching Tiger time?
Around that time, Ang Lee was hot.
And he was trying to do the comic tiles, which I had no heat with that. It was fine. It was weird to see Phil Dunphy in there. Going back and watching that, I was like, I don't remember Phil Dunphy in the Hulk.
Well, everybody was still trying to figure out how to make a comic book movie at the time.
Yeah.
So it was a swing. I think Feige nailed it in Favreau with Iron Man, which really kind of set the tone. But I honestly I can't really remember much about that movie. It didn't really work for me. No.
It didn't really stick with you. So not even.
I mean, look, I'm right from Bill Bixby. Had no heat with Edward Norton. But Ruffalo is the king, probably.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. I do think that they honored by changing the origin story of She-Hulk, where instead of her getting shot by a mobster, they had the car accident. And being a Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk, Mark, that scene of seeing a car accident and somebody about to Hulk out just brought you back to the opening credits.
Did you think the whole blood gimmick was a little contrived, though? Hulk's blood just gets on her cut. I mean, I don't know. It seemed.
Well, I mean, I think that would have caused a huge loophole if they did that. But I think going back to the lab and explaining that the only reason that worked was because of the matching DNA. Because then they went back to the Eric Bana Hulk, right? Or is this the Edward Norton Hulk when the blood dripped in the soda and then it killed basically Stan Lee to show that his blood is toxic? So it would have killed her if it wasn't matching DNA. So I was kind of okay with that. It was very convenient for sure.
It was pretty convenient.
It could have been a lot more organic.
I thought there could have been much more story had they done it the original way, where maybe he's got to decide whether or not he should give her a blood transfusion to save her life and make her a Hulk. The idea of just blood shot out of me and got into your cut just seems, I don't know, it's a little Walking Deadish or something.
You're right. They probably could have added they could have added a scene and then added a little bit of drama of like, do I curse her with what I'm dealing with, or do I let her die?
Yeah.
And then it could have. So I do see what you're saying there. That could have added a lot of weight to that.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna say this. Like, I know it's just as a closer end thing. I'm on the fence now about comic book fatigue. I might be getting there.
You're getting there?
I might be getting there. I don't know. I really feel the shows have been fairly strong, but I still I made this point before. I feel like they almost devalue the movies. They don't feel like they're on the same level. And once you take a character out of a movie and put them on a show, I feel like now you've taken them out of WWE and they're in NWA. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just feels that way. TV's always had that feel. So I'm not sure. So I'm not a Marvel hater. I've been a fan. I enjoy all the movies, and I'll still go to every movie.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes, because I feel like I'm not the only one who's on the fence.
No, I think people are definitely feeling the fatigue, and I think you're right. And I'm going to go back to what I was talking about before, where you can't judge the show until you see all the episodes.
Give us 4 episodes.
I think Phase 4 was definitely shaky because it felt, other than the pandy, I think there was a lot of experimentation going on and a lot of new ground. Like, we were all shocked at, like, how are you going to have a Marvel property that is basically a TV show, right, that we're going to stream? So we didn't even know what to expect. And I think we had a lot of people's expectations were super high, coming off of, Spider-Man Far From Home and Endgame, and then all of a sudden now we're getting TV shows. And I think that's why people are overhyped for Wanda, overhyped for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I think everybody has varying degrees of if they worked. But I think in the long run, when you see the entire saga, and I hate to say, sorry, you got to stick around for, Phase 4, 5, and 6, when you see how important what happened with He Who Remains and Loki, and you're going to realize how important that is, I think then we're going to be able to judge to see if the experiment of having Marvel television worked. Because I feel like as bad as much heat as Book of Boba Fett is getting, that end season 2 finale of The Mandalorian was cinematic to the point where you feel like that could sit next to the Star Wars films. I'd watch that season of Mandalorian in the theater probably quicker than I'd watch, the Disney trilogy at home.
Well, I think we're also in an interesting time too, because mixed with entering this new phase and having to introduce all these new characters and then bringing the TV shows, I think we've seen, the characters who've come down to the TV shows from the films have done really well, but we haven't really seen any of these TV characters pop up in a film yet.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's and we know it's coming. But like you said, when we saw Daredevil pop up in Spider-Man, that was a huge pop.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because we saw someone from something that had already been off for a while, but it came from TV and thought we were never going to see it. We saw it happen, and it was a huge kind of pop like that. I do think we're going to see that. I think some of these characters, as they're brought into the films, will start resonating a little bit more like that. And we know with Miss Marvel, she's going to pop up in the new Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah.
That's all. It's literally called The Marvels, and she's a part of that.
Yeah, she's in there.
And so I think we're going to start seeing that with these characters. I really want to see. I'll harp on it all day. I loved Hawkeye, and I absolutely loved the way they did Kate Bishop.
Yeah, oh yeah, she was good.
And so I want to see her, with Yelena especially. I want to see that in a film kind of thing. Oh man,
Yelena's fantastic.
I think once they start bringing them in and starting mixing those TV-only characters into the films, I think we might be able to hopefully re-energize a little bit. Not that it's gotten really stale for me at least, but it's what we always wanted. We always wanted the films to kind of tie together, which is what they started doing with the MCU. And so I'm hoping that this is going to give them the ability, almost like reading a comic, when you have some random character who just pops up in your favorite comic. That's my hope, is it'll be like that. You can bring in these characters organically because they've already laid the groundwork for it, and hopefully the future movies can be better for it.
Man, I think you're right. I think you guys nailed it. I think we need to see the television heroes in a film that's going to raise them, to give them the rub. Again, because if we go, going back to what the pop Wanda got, if we go back to Avengers Age of Ultron, Wanda felt like a second tier character, and now she feels like she's in the starting lineup. So they built her. It's almost like a wrestling storyline where they gave her enough of the right matches in the mid card to get her to now she's a main event player. They need to do that with more characters for sure.
Need to jump in here. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. What's the spoiler?
Oh, major AEW spoiler breaking.
Oh, yeah, breaking news. Let's do it.
Sorry, I got to give it to you because it's too huge.
Yes.
Thunder Rosa is stepping down as AEW Women's Champ due to injury.
What?
Yep.
Oh, man.
More film at 11, but that's the headline.
Oh, no.
Dude, I was there when she won it. It was huge.
Oh, my. And we were talking about, again, what we were just talking about, like building up, like once you get to the top of the mountain, I feel like they never properly, she was one of the people that I feel like didn't get the proper rub once she got the belt. We saw it happen with Darby. We saw it even happen a little bit with Adam Page. And I never would have thought that it happened. I was just like, man, she could be like a female Ultimate Warrior level. And now she has to step down.
Stepping down. We'll see the details, I suppose, as it develops. But yeah, that's pretty sad. Shout out to Thunder Rosa.
Man, yes, I hope get well. I hope it's not a serious injury for sure. And I was just saying, they actually have a show, Welcome to the Jungle. I think that's coming up next month. And I saw that she was on the poster. I mean, that's her company, so I'm sure she's gonna still be there, but she might not be working. But man, that's Brian. I don't know if you're familiar with Thunder Rosa. Man, she's great, and she's something that she should have her own comic book, right? Was she in the comic when
she does have a comic book?
She does.
Yeah, there's a comic. I saw it at the Last Mission Pro show. They had it there.
Oh, nice.
It's an indie job, of course, but like she's got a comic.
Still book. Good. Remember when we saw Lucha Underground at at South by? We saw that.
Yeah.
And I still have that Lucha Underground comic that was in there, and I was like, man, and she's made for it, right? She jumps out at there. So, oh man,
not a good time for AEW right now.
No. Oh, the injury bug claims another. That stinks. Well, now I got to take a water break.
All right, let's take a quick break.
Yeah, we got a lot. We still got a lot to cover. So
we'll be right back. Yeah, we need a quick bio. Here we go.
All right, cool.
Okay.
I'm totally vexed right now. I'm vexed. I'm triggered. Are these all the right words?
Yeah, those are the words.
Man,
those are the.
We're gonna have to dig a little bit deeper into that break. That was literally breaking news in the middle of our spot.
That's why people watch, for the breaking news.
Yeah, we got the breaking news for Thunderrosa. So, again, get well soon. We're definitely she should be legendary. Her taco vlog, she had new taco vlog that came out today. So, definitely recommend checking out her YouTube page as well. And then support Mission Pro Wrestling. Got to support the locals. Again, a healthy ecosystem, whether it's in Hollywood or it's in wrestling, is multiple people succeeding, not just one. So, but let's pivot here. So, Brian, we're here. So we're gonna pivot into a snack time. No weird beers this week. We do weird snacks sometime, and then while we're feasting on the snack, you got a show and tell that you want to share with us. So we'll do that. But first up, our friends at HEB they've done it again. It doesn't matter if
we didn't do the snack time logo, dude.
Oh yeah, we got a snack time snack.
You got to be like, you've got to be like, okay, and now it's snack time.
And now it's snack time. Forgot about there.
You have to throw to the logo. Haven't you ever watched the talk show before?
I got full disclosure. I forgot about the bear, the awesome bear too. I want the bear to stand up and do martial arts. If this was anime or Jack Black, we'd do it. So yeah, snack time here at theincredibles House Show Live. Again, HEB, they did it again. It was the hot chocolate chips that I really didn't think would worked really well. They also are known for their key lime cashews. So they're a fusion company that they're fusing all these snacks. So this one today is going to be another limited edition, another carnival flavor known as corn in a cup. Corn in a cup. So we'll put that sideways there. See that?
What is corn in the cup?
So
is that street corn?
Yeah, street corn in a cup. So it's basically the corn in a cob, but corn in a cup. Have you ever gotten the street corn where you put all different types of gimmicks all over it to kind of dance it up and then just eat it on the cob?
I mean, yeah, I've had a street corn before, but I didn't realize they serve street corn in baseball games.
I didn't know that either. But this is corn in a cup. Are you Fritos guys?
I'm good for it.
All right,
I'm a big Fritos guy.
Let's get the it's kind of like the pop we do with the beer. To get that woof. So we'll pour the first one on camera. And we'll see the pour. Oh yeah. So it just looks like, we'll get a little bit of a close up here. See that guy right there? So it is Frito style looking for sure. It's definitely got some herbs and spices, if you will. So I'm gonna pour this one. I'll make this one the bowl because that's the one I touched. Safety first here at theincredibles Network. All right, so you activate that intern music. I will bring you guys over a healthy amount of HEB's limited edition corn in a cup. Here I come.
Nah, we still need a better system for this. Have you seen those robots on Congress that deliver food?
Yes, I have. Actually, I've seen them at Flex Brewhouse too.
They have them there as well?
They do the cleanup though. Just be nice to them, because if you're mean to them, it's your ass.
Uprising.
That's how.
Delivery robot uprising.
Do you want a robot uprising? Because that's how you get a robot.
JJ, you come in anytime you want. I'll give you a key.
Yes. I think you should just get a key to the studio. All right. JJ, so I don't know if you're also right up there with HEB does so much for Texas and our taste buds. So let's do a cheers.
Here, put the bag in the close-up shot.
Let's do that. I keep forgetting to leave it in the shot. Is that still good? Okay, here we go. Corn in a cup. Here we go. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, yeah.
You taste it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got the corn.
It's got some spice in there.
Yeah.
What's the red spice that we put on fruit? And when you get the fruit on the streets?
What's that?
What's the red spice that you put on the fruit? The
tahini?
Tahini.
Yeah.
Does it have like some kind of tahini? I taste the lime.
It's definitely got some chili lime in there.
Slava says I've not tried those chips, but they sound puro San Antonio.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like most of the stuff HEB makes is targeted at San Antonio. That's their home base.
Oh, is that their home base?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, you're absolutely right. So is their HEB Plus there like baller when you get the San Antonio
I honestly
edition?
have never been to the HEB Plus in San Antonio, but I imagine they're fantastic.
I get it. I don't think people get the fandom for HEB outside of Texas. Like, I don't feel that about Pathmark or Stop and Shop. But HEB, you get fans. I mean, it's like the Buc-ee's of grocery stores. And like the Buc-ee's, like, yeah, we got gas stations that have fans. All right.
I love how this is basically turning into an ASMR podcast. Right?
There you go.
Eat Fritos on the microphone.
Eat your Fritos. Like, subscribe, share.
Who knew that eating was going to put me on YouTube, of all places?
Oh, Slava confirmed. Yes, the headquarters are downtown.
Look, I'll give these a thumbs up, man. These are good.
100% thumbs up.
Yeah, it's actually, it tastes a little ranchy to me, which I'm not a ranch fan, but this is actually not bad at all.
Oh, yeah, you do taste ranch in there, too. Because you get a little bit of the cool ranch, a little bit of the lime, a little bit of the tahini. But, yeah, I'll totally give this a thumbs up. Cool. We have a new playlist on our YouTube page called Food Fight for all our food segments. So now we got another spot we get to put in there. So, well done. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I don't know if you pulled the gimmick up when I did. There we go.
Give him the pitch.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That's right, ASMR in the house. All right, we got another breaking news. Friend of the show, the other Hook, David Hook, just sent what may be our first logo for merch. Whipped up a little sketch. It's hard to describe without showing you. So we will, oh man, it looks fantastic. Should we show it? Should we show it live or should we do a tease?
Sure. Let's preview it. Let's preview it for the
All right.
folks and get some opinions.
David Hook, we're showing your stuff live right out of the gate. This is what he was talking about. So if you notice, when I move my thumb, that's 100% kayfabe content. Look at the meat. But it's got the hood. I think that looks great. Oh, really good. That, like we say in wrestling, is that a shirt? I think that's a shirt.
That may be a shirt.
That might be a shirt. That looks
That's
great.
beautiful. Man, Hook is a brilliant artist.
He is.
Let's just put that out there.
Yeah, check him out. Portraiture. I can't say it, but follow us. You'll see us on there. Portraiture. He's gonna be whooping up some. So Brian, if you ever need him, he's fan. He's, you know, we showed the rebooting right there in the beginning. A little known fact. Here's Jesse on that Shining spoof. David Hook built that door. He's just the guy, man. He's your go-to guy. But I'm gonna give him a heart on that. I'm gonna just tell him we just showed it live. We love it. All right, Brian, while we're doing our show and tell, I saw you brought in a gimmick, if you will, for a little show and tell. You brought something in there. You want to share it?
Yeah, I brought in.
Right.
I brought in a gift for you guys.
Oh, all right, awesome.
And it ties in well to this whole thing. So I'm not sure if y'all have seen this, and y'all may already have it, because I wouldn't be surprised if y'all did have. But y'all, I mean, you know, especially I'm a toy collector.
Yes.
More than anything.
Yep.
And I have enough toys to where I just have toys sitting in my closet, not doing anything. And so when I went through some stuff in my closet and I saw these, I was like, oh, I've got to bring this with me next time for the guys so that they've got these.
All right.
So this is the Marvel and Funko Collector Core. With a monthly subscription box they did, where they would basically, for a monthly rate, you got, you know, a couple of Funko Pops and a couple other little items inside. And when this one came, I was like, you know what, this one's just not for me, but I'm going to save it for just whatever. And it's the perfect time because this is the Marvel Lucha Libre edition.
Oh, snap. No, I did not see that.
And so these are Marvel Funko Pops with the Lucha masks on.
Really?
Yes. So I've got a couple stickers for you, and then I figured I would just let you guys fight over which Funko y'all get.
All right.
We have, if I can get it out here.
We love studio swag, too.
We have El Animal Indestructible, which is going to be the Wolverine.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That looks great.
And then we've got the El Arachno, which is going to be their version of the Spider-Man.
Oh, wow. These are awesome, dude.
I don't have any Funko Pops. This is great.
And then El Venenoid, which is Venom.
Oh, wow.
And then to top it all off, they also threw in a little metallic keychain of the Captain Marvel one, which I have this Funko myself, because I buy anything Captain Marvel.
All right.
But we got a little keychain, so I figured I would bring this for you guys. That way you've got
thank
some
you
little
so
swag
much, man.
here.
Yeah.
And then y'all can fight over
who
gets one.
The studio wins, because you just, right now, that's all production value. We throw that up there. We collect our studio swag. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
my first Funko Pop.
Score. I mean, we talk about our culture pops and our kayfabe content because it all dovetails together so nicely between. I don't think people realize how much pro wrestling has inserted itself into the zeitgeist through the years, right? And whether it was in the 80s, they compared those, wrestlers back then to superheroes. In the 90s with like the NWO and the DX and the cliques, and you saw everybody was doing their cliques and being rebels against the system, which is what we saw, right? That Nirvana movement of just like, we're going, we're not going to take it anymore kind of thing. I feel like wrestling always finds its way into that, to the point now where the biggest Gen X, D-Generation X, but the biggest movie star in the world right now is still The Rock.
Yeah.
Who honed his craft in professional wrestling and working on as a wrestler and working on sets. It has something to do with the ability to, when that camera is live, to be able to go with it, right? You're going to Jackie Chan it. You're going to do your own stunts. You're not going to say, I can't do this, because if you see the stuff that they've been asked to do in pro wrestling, you're never going to shy away from doing that. So, and obviously Marvel, right? There is no Hulk Hogan without Marvel. But he also made that name, he licensed that name for a long time directly from Marvel. So thank you so much for bringing those in, because that's us in a gimmick, right? Yeah. A Funko Pop with superheroes and a lucha mask. So yeah, thank you, dude. That is awesome. I don't think I have any Funkos either.
I've only got about 300 or 400, so I think I'm okay with not having 3.
I remember when you were building your place where you're at now, and you saw all the space that you're doing. And I imagined, knowing you, because, when we worked together at the TV studio and seeing everything that you had on your desk, that, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And it's like really, it's just, and it's not just the Funkos, too. It's just collectibles in general I'm all about. But the nice thing about the Funkos is it's been able to allow me to tie in all my various licenses that I love and stuff like that. Like, even at work, I work for a bowling center. I have my Ron Swanson Funko at the corner of my desk, but then I have a 4-pack of the Golden Girls with bowling balls, because they were on a bowling team.
That's right.
And they put a Funko set of those out, and I was like, I have to have that for work, because it brings all of my personalities all to the front.
Yeah, all your loves together, man. It's funny, we're talking about this, and we're going to release it. It just needs a little bit of tweaking. The technical first Those Incredibles show you were part of, right? We did it at the drive-in.
Yeah.
That was our first spot show, right? Mario, you were working tech, and we were in the front. We had Randy. That was our first spot show that we're doing, and we found that, and it's a little rough because it was outside and it was live, but you were giving away flair. We did live trivia, like with no rehearsals, right? We just did it all live.
Yeah, it was fun.
Like we had people coming out of their cars to guess the trivia, and you had the flair to give them. Oh, it was great. So,
I think you had the Facebook feed of it that we watched again.
Yeah.
Somewhere I have the original feed. I have to track it down. It's in a box full of hard drives.
That is going to be a lost episode that we're going to release. We were talking about lost media. That first Those Incredibles show is going to be the lost media that we're going to show.
That's what you do as a Patreon exclusive. Boom.
Right? Yeah, because if we do it as an exclusive, we won't get dinged. But the only thing I'm worried about, the Ghetto Boys music. I don't know if that's going to stop us if we show it on YouTube. But we can show it on Patreon, right?
I believe so, but I mean...
if it's behind a wall.
It depends where you host it.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you, Brent. That was awesome. So let's jump into So we're going to just go into a few different nuggets right now. And we had a lot of stuff that was breaking this week, specifically around Remember Berries, around horror. You know, that's we are all about the horror high spots here too. So we're going to just throw a few things up here and just chat about it. So the first one is the release date for the next Evil Dead Rises, which is releasing in April, which I think Raimi and Campbell are a part of it, but they're not going to be in it. You know, we know Bruce Campbell and the Ash vs. Evil Dead characters, which we love that show, or in the video game, but this is a new take on it. But if you see Evil Dead Rise, we're not going to be in a cabin. It looks like we're going Poltergeist 3 style, and we're going to be in a high rise. Are you guys ready to see more Evil Dead from the Evil Dead universe?
Is this a sequel to the last remake?
I don't know. I think it's been pretty hush-hush on what it actually is. I don't know if it's going to be... Well, that was, what's his name? Fido, who directed that last bloody
Fede Alvarez?
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to just be continuing in the universe, because I don't think they're going to be in a cabin. They're in a high-rise, but I don't know for sure. But that might be worth checking out for sure. I love the box art is good. I mean, I'm
definitely watching it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I'm just curious if this is almost another sequel boot, or is this a follow-up on that last one?
Which you liked the last one, right?
I had no heat with the last one. It was pretty good. I think I only saw it once in the theater, so I'm down for a rewatch. But yeah, I'm curious about it for sure.
All right, so it does. I can confirm it's a film. And I thought it was going to HBO Max. It serves as the 5th installment in the Evil Dead franchise, starring Alyssa Sutherland, Lily Sullivan, Gabrielle Ecklos. I don't know if they were in there. It's preceded by scrap plans for a sequel to the 2013 Evil Dead film. So I don't know if it's actually going to be a true sequel or just live in the universe. Did you guys watch Creepshow on Shudder?
I only saw a couple episodes.
So, yeah, I got to plug that, and there was one that it's basically public access television of the living dead, and it actually has Ted Raimi in there. And
You told me about that one.
Yeah, and I had no idea it was going to turn into a piece of that Evil Dead universe, which, again, Evil Dead plays itself really well to be another comic book. Like, there was comic books, because after Freddy versus Jason, the whole thing was like, oh, now they're going to do Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. And I think they ended up doing it in the comic books, Brian. I don't know if you read any of those comics.
No, but I mean that the horror whole genre kind of ties itself to that, because it doesn't really take itself that seriously.
Yeah.
And you can kind of do that with kind of your horror characters like that, having them fight against each other, because it's not like it's some, shared universe where they're all, they all kind of coexist in that kind of like fictional kind of area. So it's a little, you have a little more slack when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. And they were like really anti-heroes with weird superpowers that are a little bit more murdery than your average superhero. But they do feel like that. So I like this. When I saw this poster, I got Poltergeist 3 vibes. And then I got Jason Takes Manhattan vibes, because now we're going to see Deadites in the big city, which we've never seen before, right? The Deadites are always in the woods. The reason they were born in the woods, right? That's where low-budget stuff is born. But now they got a little bit of a budget, and it looks like they're going to the city. So I'm counting myself in. It's a New Line Cinema Ghost House Pictures joint. Surprisingly, no Blumhouse attached to this. But I
mean, Sam Raimi's got his own Blumhouse. It's Ghost House Pictures.
Yeah. And it looks like you are getting the Raimi blessing and you are getting the Bruce Campbell blessing. But Bruce Campbell said he pretty much feels like he's done with the character. And if you watch those 3 seasons of Ash versus Evil Dead, man, it was so good. It was like everybody wanted another film, and basically it's like, what are you talking? I gave you like 30 episodes, 30 hours of it, and it was so good. But I do like that they're going to keep it going. So next up on the tour of Remember Berries is it was announced today that HBO Max, which has been chopping stuff. Man, are you guys getting the spice? I'm getting the spice now.
It's good, yeah.
I feel like the nose is starting to do the run thing, but HBO's been announcing all the stuff it's cutting, but now it announced something that it's actually doing. We are getting that Welcome to Derry series, which is going to serve as a prequel to the It series. I don't know what you guys feel about that. I thought the original It with Tim Curry had the same issues with the new It, where the first installment was way better than the second installment. Stephen King, who I love, obviously, and it's something in his genes because now you got the black phone and his son's going in the same footstep. But Stephen King, notoriously for me, always had trouble sticking the landing on the endings, and I feel like both It suffered from that. But that being said, this isn't about sticking the landing. This is going to be showing the origins of that. So you guys, do we need to see this? Do we want to see this? How are you guys feeling about it? And I'm going to go get a tissue because the tahini's kicking in.
I mean, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a huge horror guy, just because the way I was raised, I wasn't allowed to watch that kind of stuff, and so it never really, I don't have the nostalgia factor that led it to me becoming a horror fan as an adult. Over the years, I've slowly started adding it to my mental collection of things that I like. I'm very picky about stuff like that. With It specifically, I watched it out of spite because both my wife and mother-in-law are fearfully terrified of clowns, specifically It. And so I watched it just so that I could talk to them about it without them having watched it. And now my 11-year-old daughter is obsessed with horror films, specifically Pennywise and Michael Myers. And so I had to also watch it so that we could figure out if she would be allowed to watch it, which even that I was kind of like, oh, okay, but she was all on board, so she's watched it. And so I remember watching the original It as a kid and nothing about it terrified me, but I was really young when that came out.
Yeah.
I really liked the first installment. I agree the second one I think was a little weaker, but I think it was, I don't know if it's necessarily weaker, if it was just a little different than what that first one was.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the first one. I thought Bill Skarsgård was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, he's phenomenal.
I loved everything he did with it. I love that he didn't try to do an impression or even a caricature of Tim Curry. He took it in a completely different way, much like Ledger did with the Joker. He took it very serious.
Good point. That's a good comparison.
Instead of trying to make it campy in any way, he just went hardcore into the actual horror of it. And so, like, I'm not a jump scare guy, but there's moments in that film where it scared the shit out of me. And so I really like that, and I'm interested to see something that focuses more on him specifically. I mean, the movies did, but the movies are really about how he terrorizes the children and how they react as both children and then as adults. So getting to see something that's going to focus on him, I think is that's interesting to me, at least.
That's a smart way to go.
As someone who's not a horror fan, that's interesting to me, finding out like where this demonic maniacal character came from.
Yeah, because I mean, as much as I say the second one was, and I enjoyed it, I just said the second one was weaker than the first one, but that second one had that eerie scene with Pennywise's mother, I guess, when she was completely naked doing the creepy tiptoe thing. I was like, that freaked me out a little bit. What are you thinking, Mario, on It? Do we need to see this It prequel series?
I was not a fan of the It remakes, so I could do without it.
Oh, really?
They didn't work for me either, unfortunately.
You know what's interesting is that had a huge budget, right? And it was cinematic. But I'm old enough to remember watching the original one, which was a made-for-TV television series that played over 2 nights and had freaking Jack from Three's Company and Harry T. Stone from Night Court. And it was this, but that still sticks with people, and that had a lot to do with, obviously, Tim Curry's portrayal of that. But
Poindexter from Revenge of the Nerds was in it
yeah,
as well.
That's right. It was just like, how did...
I thought the remakes leaned too heavy into the effects. Tim Curry was pretty much just stoic in everything he was doing, just kind of standing there. You could tell he just put a cigarette out. He just finished smoking before the cameras rolled. I don't know. Like I didn't really like the new Pennywise. I didn't get into the new films. So I don't know. They're gonna do another Pennywise, sure.
But it'll be a series now, and like Brian
it's a
said,
series.
Yeah, it's a series on HBO.
I mean, maybe they could do something with it.
They can go a little deeper, possibly with a character background. But I do, again, that's a good way to put. Tim Curry just started smoke, because this was even before people really were accepting clowns were terrifying. Now it's pretty much
that's
standard.
what pretty much started that. Clowns were terrifying after the It movie.
Yeah. And that really is just like, wow, that was on ABC.
No Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh yeah, and that's our next pivot into that is Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the video game. Wow, like did not see this one coming at all. So we're talking about, let me pull this up here. I had something. So this is based on that I think it was 1988 cult classic. It's becoming a multiplayer horror game, so you can play online. And this movie always was kind of like weirded me out, because this was coming off the end of the whole slasher thing, and by then I think Freddy was already a little bit campy. This one really leaned into the campiness, but it really just freaked you out, because like they were doing the whole killing, like the shadow puppets, how they ate the people, but then they really ate them. And then he had Dean Wormser from Animal House that he actually literally turned him into a puppet. And you're like, but he's really dead, right? Even though I'm kind of laughing, because back then it wasn't totally acceptable to be laughing at a horror movie like it probably is now. But Mario, you said it, you got to be funny to be scary. So that worked. But the video game is going to create that, because I don't know if you guys ever did any kind of VR. When you are playing...
Is this a VR game?
I don't know if it's going to be, but it probably should be, because I think it would work really well, because there's something about horror video games, and I think this started with Resident Evil, that when you're immersed in that world, it's scary. And you know what makes it scary? Is the music is a little more subtle, and that video game gives you that uncanny valley, am I really in this world? Because there's a lot of dead silence, and that dead silence is building that primal fear of like us being cavemen in a cave, and something could happen at any time. So this is going to be a little bit different. I think this is going to be a little bit more about the remember berries than anything. I don't know if you guys were, Brian, you said, and Mario, you too, you both weren't really into horror movies, coming up, right? It's something you kind of later jumped into.
Well, I was just scared of them.
Yeah, you just were
like, I didn't really, it's not that I wasn't into them, I just was scared to watch them. It was impossible to get me into a horror movie at the theater until I was like 15, probably.
Oh man,
no way.
No, I think because my dad used to get his cheap pops by putting something scary on the TV, and then tell me to go in the basement and get him a pair of socks. And I had one of those Long Island basements, and just like we just had like Salem's Lot or It's Alive on the TV, and he's like, "Son, can you go get my socks?" And you knew when you go down there, it had the basement that had no unfinished floor, so it was just cement, unfinished ceiling, and you knew the light was going to turn off and the door was going to lock.
Yeah.
So that used to freak me out, and I think it was fun. Not like he didn't really lock me in the basement. I should probably reiterate that. But
yeah, I wasn't into horror just because I never liked being scared, especially as a kid, and there was no way my parents were going to allow me to watch any of that kind of stuff. The closest I ever came to, which is why it's the type of horror movies that I really liked, that I still like, and are usually kind of derided now, is my two favorite, if you want to call them horror, scary movies as a kid were Gremlins.
Oh, yeah.
And then Critters 2.
Oh, yes.
Critters 2, because it was the only one I had seen, because it was on a recorded VHS tape that my uncle gave me off of HBO.
Critters 2 is superior to Critters 1. I'm just going to...
Oh, it's fantastic.
That's a hot take.
I've gone back and watched them now, and even Leonardo DiCaprio can't save the sequels, but I love Critters 2 with a passion.
Deep cuts.
And even with Gremlins and Gremlins 2, I mean, those are the movies that I could tolerate as a kid, so I still like watching them now. But those are the kind of, I've always preferred like creature-style horror movies as opposed to like the kind of slasher stuff.
I totally can see that, and they were fun. But I would still log those as horror movies, even though they were considered fun, right? It's like Critters. I think I was watching another fantastic Shudder documentary, Into the Darkness, right? Is that what it's called? It has the 3-parters, but they get into...
Yeah.
They talk to Joe Dante.
Yeah.
And when he's talking about Gremlins, and he starts talking about all the movies that kind of came after that, and he does say the same thing, that Critters is the one that he kind of like accepted, like, okay, you copied Gremlins, but that's okay. And he kind of gave some heat to Ghoulies. Remember Ghoulies?
Yeah, Ghoulies was low budge.
And they had to go back because they did the poster of the ghoulie coming out of the toilet, and then it wasn't in the movie, and executives were like, where's the toilet scene?
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Yeah, it's in a way it has, I think the good horror has a little element of fun. Like, I legit don't like true crime stuff because I'm like, wait a minute. That's like, there's no fourth wall there. That's real. That really happened. And a lot of people are really into that. And that's the ones that really get me because you're like, oh, people really did that. So let's go with that. So Derry Girls on Netflix. What a strange prequel. And then, Lee, what's up, Lee? His first horror movie he saw at the movies, Graveyard Shift, crushing disappointment. But that music kind of stuck with you, right?
Which one is Graveyard Shift?
The Graveyard Shift. I don't think it was another Stephen King one, but it wasn't as... That's all I really remember about it is them singing The Graveyard Shift. And I remember the box art. It had like a work helmet on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the work helmet.
But there was nothing. So I can totally see that as crushing disappointment for sure. And then we got two more. And Brian, I'm going to leave yours for the main event. We're going to talk about that. We talked about it a little bit over text. But before we jump to that, this is one that I don't ever have any kind of memories of. Do you remember there's going to be a Hellraiser on Hulu? Pinhead. Like, everybody knows Pinhead. Like, we talked about the Mount Rushmore of horror icons, and possibly he could have been like a footnote as the fourth, but I don't really remember anything about Hellraiser. So I'm kind of curious how this is going to be. And it's going to be a series on Hulu when Hulu's coming off hot, because Hulu just like, look what we just did with Prey, and they're going to do with Aliens. Are they going to do that with Hellraiser? So, I mean, I'm going to watch because I'm really curious. But what are your guys feeling on Hellraiser? What is it called? I forgot what's actually the little subtitle.
Well, I think you said it exactly right. Can you describe the plot of Hellraiser?
No.
I have no idea what it's about. I know that it exists. I know there's Pinhead and the other, what are they called? Cenobites?
Cenobites, yeah.
Cenobites, which is delicious when you get them at the mall.
I'd buy Cenobite cereal, if you sure.
But like, what is Hellraiser about? I don't really know. So it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that hook like Friday the 13th or
besides Nightmare on Elm Street. You just know the look and the aesthetic,
yeah. And so you don't want Pinhead to show up. So
yeah, it's no good, right?
Don't raise hell
because he's just like he had the Uncle Fester look, but he don't let him give you a headbutt. And Lee put it. Nightbreed. And I just recently saw that that was on the finale of The Last Drive-In.
The director's cut.
Yeah.
The Nightbreed director's cut.
And again, that's more of a vibe that it creates. So I'm going to go in there because I'm curious what it's going to look like, and I want to see what Hulu's doing, if they're going to establish themselves as somebody who can reboot it. But I'm assuming, Brian, you were not really into Pinhead, but you know him. Is there a Funko Pop for Pinhead?
There is. Actually,
I was going to say there has to be, right?
There's Funkos. Sure. There's actually, with specifically horror icons, Sideshow Collectibles has done a really nice range of their premium format figures and statues. And a buddy of mine here in town is a huge Hellraiser fan, and like anytime one pops up, he's like, he'll ask me to pre-order for him, so I can get points for it, and he'll get the figure. I'm like, that's fine with me. I'll take those free points. But nice. He's got a nice Hellraiser collection. That's his film.
That's okay.
That's his, his one and only when it comes to like horror stuff.
So we'll have to see how that's going. It's the reimagining, so we'll see how that goes. But Brian, let's do for the last one. I'm saving this for you. It's not really horror unless you get into the dystopian of what's going to happen to the future, based on a video game. Let's talk a little bit about the Last of Us. We saw a little snippet in that. We saw it on, when we'll get into the House of the Dragon, we saw a little snippet of finally what is the Mandalorian going to look like in The Last of Us. And I think he's firing, Pedro Pascal firing on all cylinders, whether he's with Nick Cage or Baby Yoda. He's holding his own against giants.
Real quick, one thing before we get into this, while Lee is on right now, just want to inform Lee that you should check out our Flash Gordon clip.
Yes.
Where we cast the Flash Gordon remake with Jamie Foxx, Quentin Tarantino directing. We pitched it live. It's a great idea. You should check it out.
And just for the record, thank you for Video Archives. When we did tweet this, we got a like. So that in our universe, we are very close to Quentin Tarantino seeing what we pitched him to be the 10th film. He might.
I think we
he
can
might say
safely
something.
say-
I'm not doing your film. I'm going to do my own film. I don't need you to tell me what type of film to do. Okay, please be kind. Rewind. I say that in all love because I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino mark, and I would say, yes, sir. Whatever you give me, I'm going to be there first day.
I think we can safely say he probably watched the show now at this point.
Yeah,
and
right.
Not technically not be lying.
Yeah, I think it's safe. So, and we did format that into podcast form, Lee. So if you want to watch it or you want to listen to it, you have that both as an option. So, but yeah, let's go back, Brian. So we got The Last of Us. You want to give Mario the back of the Matchbox pitch on The Last of Us?
So, for a while there, when The Last of Us came out, all I heard was like, you've got to play this game. You've got to play this game. It's the greatest game ever. I didn't own a PlayStation. I was a hardcore Xbox 360 person and kept hearing about it. Saw some of the gameplay footage and was like, all right, maybe this is the one to try out. And since it was a PlayStation exclusive, it was the game that got me to buy a PlayStation, which I'm all about
huge.
PlayStation now. And to this day is single-handedly the greatest game I've ever played.
Oh, wow.
I'm not a huge gamer to begin with, but I would literally come home from work every day, say hi to my kids real quick, and then my wife and I would sit, and since we'd been playing Left 4 Dead on our Xbox, we liked the kind of first-person shooter, killing zombies and things like that. And with Last of Us, it's a single-player game, and so we kind of just took turns, with one of us sitting on the couch and the other one watching the other one play. But the game itself is just so cinematic to begin with.
Yeah.
That it pulls you in, and it's a nice little tie-in too, because the whole opening of the game is in our area. They're basically, the outbreak comes out and they're driving. You can kind of tell by the signs that they're near Kyle or New Braunfels somewhere, because you see them talking about having to get to Austin. So that was always kind of a fun little thing to begin with.
That is
anyways.
a nice little twist, that little tie-in.
So I mean, playing the game was just amazing for me. And then we had to wait 5 years for a sequel, and that game is amazing as well too. So when they announced that they were going to do a show on HBO, I was already kind of hyped for it. And knowing the fact that they were going to bring in a lot of the creative team to kind of oversee the show gave me a lot of faith, because it's really rough when they tell you that they're going to make a movie or a TV show of something you love, because you tend to automatically go, well, how are they going to screw this up?
Right. Yeah, you're very hesitant.
And it could go either way, because we've had some good video game movies, and we've had Super Mario Brothers. So you really never know.
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, you really never know which way you're going to go with that. And so the hardest thing has been watching them. They made the cast announcement. And you're like, all right, well, that's a great casting. And there's Twitter accounts out there that are just showing cell phone photos of them filming. And so you're getting all these tiny glimpses, but you really don't ever get to know what it's going to look like or what it's going to feel like until you actually see some footage, and they've really just not been showing anything. And so literally when that footage popped, I had 4 friends text me. They're like, dude, have you seen it yet? And I'm like, no. And they told me what it was, ran into my room, hit up YouTube on my TV, watched it, and then just yelled across the house to my wife to get in there so I could show it to her, because we're both fans. And so seeing even 20 seconds of footage, you can already kind of see the scope and even a little bit of the tone that they're going to go for, which is, it ties into the game so nicely.
Yeah.
So it immediately jumped into my most anticipated thing coming out right now.
I love it. And Pedro Pascal was great casting. Now, the rumored casting, and she might have gotten too old for this, was Arya Stark. Remember, she was originally going to be, they had her booked, but I think it took too long. So I'm not familiar with who they booked for this role.
So she's actually in Game of Thrones as well too.
Oh, really?
She is the one.
Oh, wait.
She's Lady Mormont.
She's Lady Mormont?
She's Lady Mormont, yes.
That's a slam dunk.
Yeah, I thought that was
great.
Because they originally wanted to get Maisie Williams, who played Arya, to do it, and I thought that was good casting.
Yeah.
She kind of fits the look and everything for it. But when they announced her, because this was not long after she made her appearance in Game of Thrones, and as soon as they said that, I was like, oh, if she can pull off that same kind of, because the character of Ellie has that same kind of fierce attitude.
Yeah.
I'm like, if she can, she already showed that she could pull it off. If they can capture that in this, she's going to be fantastic. And I am one of the biggest Nick Offerman fans you'll find. And hearing that he was going to be in the show as the character of Bill, which I like in the game as well too, But seeing him pop up on the screen was just kind of like a bonus for me.
Yeah,
This casting is spot on. You're looking at this side by side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how crazy, how good that is.
What else was this actress in besides Game of Thrones?
So, well, that's actually she's the voice actor for the game.
Oh, she's the voice actress? Oh, okay.
Yes, and she's in Avengers, actually.
She looked familiar.
She's the waitress in Avengers who saves the couple and
that's
stuff
right,
like that.
yeah.
So she does the voice for the game, and she did all the motion capture for Ellie for both the younger version and then the older version we meet in part 2. I'm blanking on the actress's name who's playing her in the show, though.
Well, Mario, you know, and we're going to try to pitch you on House of the Dragon and Game of the...
Bella Ramsey?
Yes, Bella Ramsey,
yes. That's it. Because she was basically, when she first appeared on there, she could have been the equivalent of what Baby Yoda did on the screen. Of just like, wow, you have this badass queen lady that just basically takes no shit. Like, takes no shit. Like, you were ready for her to lead the whole North.
Yeah.
Right? At that point, you're like, she's the leader. Follow her. She has that. So to have her booked in there, by you telling me that, I feel so much. I didn't know that was her because that scene happened so fast that you didn't catch it. And I didn't really get into, I mean, clearly you knew Pedro right out of the gate. I had no idea that was her. I think that they did the right thing. I'm already first day.
Yeah. Once they announced her, I was like, well, you already, because even in Game of Thrones, she's in there for a few episodes.
It's minimal
scenes, but it's very minimal.
It's minimal.
And so
yeah, there she is.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's her.
And she just made such an impact in that small amount of time that she had that I'm really excited to see what she can do when she's basically, the star of the show along with Pedro.
Yeah, and no pressure, but I mean that's a dream team casting right there. So I'm ready.
Pedro's a star, man. Pedro is a star.
Yeah.
I watched, for some reason, I rewatched some of Wonder Woman 84.
Oh, yeah. He was great in it.
Standout of that movie.
Yeah.
In that Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yep.
His performance is just undeniable.
He
He's
held his own with
Nicolas
Nicolas Cage. And now you're to the point where it's just like, now it really got you wondering. It's just like, if that was not Pedro Pascal in that Mandalorian armor, would that character be as popular? Because then you realize how good he is, that he emoted through that Mandalorian armor. He emoted that through. So I think that's great, a great bit of casting there.
Well, what's funny too is with him specifically too, I found the same thing that I do with other actors, like Walt Goggins is another example.
Oh yeah, he's
where
good.
I see them in some random thing and I like them, they're fine and whatnot, and then they break way later. And then going back and rediscovering them in other things, like I've been a fan of Walt Goggins since Major League 3 back to the minors. And
deep cuts.
He's just that's a direct-to-video sequel, but he was fantastic in that. And going back now, I'll see him pop up in other things now, and it's kind of fun discovering him. But I've done the same thing with Pedro because I just got done doing an entire series watch of Buffy with my daughter.
Oh yeah, you told me you were doing that.
So we just finished that,
told us,
and Pedro Pascal pops up in an episode of that, and I had totally forgotten.
I did not know that either.
He was on Buffy?
He's in a single episode when Buffy first goes to college.
Oh wow!
And he's basically her first friend at college who gets turned into a vampire, and then she has to kill him.
What?
But
I got to go back and watch this now.
It's a great little. He's great in it, and he's very meek. He's not the same Pedro we see now, but it's still fun seeing him in that kind of realm. Like, oh, I know him.
Yeah, because the whole thing of we've heard this before of like the overnight sensations. It usually takes you 10 to 20 years to become an overnight sensation, to know that they're still in there, early back in Buffy. Buffy was all the hotness back then too. So I'm sure that was a big deal for him to get that role in that. So that helped up really well. Mario, so this is our chance, while we're talking about Lady Mormont, we're going to pitch you on House of the Dragon. You have not seen it. Brian and I have seen it, but we'll say it live on the air, so it's cut. You were never really a Game of Thrones guy.
I was not into Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Never came late to the party. I didn't have HBO. Tried to start it, just didn't appeal to me.
No.
I don't know. It's not. I sort of speed watched the last season and a half when we were getting to the finale, just so I could watch the finale with everyone.
Just to see what happened.
I didn't have the buy-in. I don't know. I'm not the biggest mark for that sort of magic and fantasy dragon type of stuff. Just not me. But you like the show? You guys like the new show?
I was really happy. And again, to use the pun, I was very afraid to get burned by the dragon because, the last season I was very happy with 1, 2, and 3, and then it fell off the cliff. So I felt it to the point, and we talked about this on the show. It's one of the few finales that not only did not stick the landing, but I think it went back and people retroactively started to not like the show as a whole because it just like, wow. And you forget how great some of those, the Battle of the Bastards, like, come on, that was such great television, and people forgot all about it because they did not stick the landing. So people, I thought, were going to be very hesitant to come to the House of the Dragon.
Well, I think a good example for what it was, almost in every term, is what we saw with Dexter. Dexter was a show that was fantastic throughout its entire run. Final season gets a little slippery. Finale misses the landing completely. And then they come back with a new show. And the new show is balls out fantastic.
Yeah.
Super fantastic. So, I watched Game of Thrones we watched it the night it premiered. Just because I'd never read the books. But I was like, this is the kind of stuff.
Yeah, I never read the books either.
This kind of stuff appeals to me, so we watched it. And, became super fans to the point I literally have 2 Daenerys Targaryen paintings in my house.
Oh, man, yeah.
So we loved that character, and watching what it became in the final season was kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so watching this new show, I was worried, but not as worried. I think the smart thing to do was go the time jump in the past.
Yeah, 200 years back before it all started.
Going far enough to where we don't have to worry about that. The show this first episode did a really good job of bringing you in and making it feel like a Game of Thrones show, especially with the music was really well done. But introducing you to all these different characters in this whole different scenario, but still with the kind of feel and the tone that the show had. So it's almost kind of like they're trying to, I don't want to say reboot it, but have a fresh start.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It is a reboot, a requel reboot of going back and just showing that, because it's different showrunners, same composer, to keep you enveloped in that universe. And you hit the nail right on the head. And the reason that last season, it was their own curse, because Daenerys and Jon Snow were so so popular that if you didn't have to give them even the happily ever after, but you also didn't have to shit the bed like they did either. And she's still over, right? They're trying desperately to find her next role because she's very magnetic. She's great in Solo. A lot of people give Solo heat, but she did so well in there. They want her in these other properties. Same thing with the actor who plays Jon Snow. So to screw that up hurt. But now to go back and say, okay, we're going to just show you, we're going to dance with the girl that got us here, and we're just going to do great television that just happens to involve incest and civil war.
Yeah.
Lee just texted me, sorry kids, but Lee just texted and said it's not a show about fucking dragons.
Well,
tell him to call back. We'll put him on the air.
That's a big yet.
and where's the comma on that? Because there's a lot of incest in here, and they have dragon blood. So I don't know. I didn't know what to expect from Matt Smith. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I didn't really expect to like his performance as much as I did, and I think that had a lot to do with okay, he's bringing it.
Yeah, I mean,
he's bringing it.
As a Doctor Who fan, I was excited for him, especially because there's been so many things that he's been quote unquote in that he hasn't been in when the movie released.
Yeah,
he's been cut out of so much.
Oh yeah, he got cut out of Star Wars, right? How do you get cut out of
a number of different?
How do you
things.
cut Doctor Who out of Star Wars?
And so getting to see him finally, I mean, he's a fantastic Doctor. He's not my favorite Doctor, but he's a fantastic Doctor in Doctor Who, and so getting him to play such a polar opposite character, instead of playing the wholesome, cheery, always hopeful Doctor, you see this kind of a bastard, and you can they always say that they always prefer playing villains because you get to have more fun like that, and you can tell that he's having fun with that character.
Yeah.
The casting alone is pretty fantastic. Like Paddy Considine is great.
Oh yeah,
I love him. What surprised the hell out of me, and I didn't even realize it until I looked up the cast list afterwards, is seeing the Hand of the King was played by Rhys Ifans.
Oh yeah, he was like because I always think of
you think of Notting Hill.
Yeah, exactly, and the Adam Sandler movie when he was the
Little Nicky.
Yeah, Little Nicky. That's when I see. That's what I expect, and I was like, wait a minute, that was him.
Yeah, Notting Hill, and then The Replacements.
Yes,
for me is, and so seeing.
Oh, and we were speaking about Spider-Man. He was the Lizard too, right?
Yeah, he was Lizard, and he was in Harry Potter too.
Yeah,
he's had all these little franchises that he's been a part of.
He just digs his way through. But
I didn't even recognize him. I couldn't spot his voice, and then when I went back through and looked, I was like, oh my god, that was him. And that's again, it's not. He's always played such a comical role that seeing him get to play something serious is refreshing as well too.
Yeah, no,
he's also the Lizard, right?
Yeah, he's the Lizard.
In Amazing Spider-Man.
Kirk Connors, yeah.
Matt Smith is very memeable.
Yeah,
we can just say that for sure.
Well, I mean, he had a lot to do with It's Morbin time, right?
Yeah, he's got a lot of Morbius memes, doesn't he?
Yeah, he had a lot of more because he did that dance scene in Morbius that kind of stuck out. I don't blame any of the cast in anyone stuck in the Sony universe. I blame Sony. Sony screwed Sony. Brett screwed Brett, and Sony screwed Sony. But I think it's bad.
You should have shown your meme in the social media.
Oh thing. Yeah,
that was a solid meme.
Yeah, check out our Instagram for we've the whole girl bro. I think is the meme. It's just like you have the one meme where the guy's explaining to the girl at the baseball game, doing the mansplaining. This is the girl version at a concert, and I was like, okay, I got to put the Brett screwed Brett conversation. Although Brett didn't screw Brett, I don't want to seem like I think Brett screwed Brett, but Mario, I don't know. I mean, I know we're trying to pitch you here, and this is. I think you can get on board early. This is 200 years before Game of Thrones. No reading of any prior stuff is necessary.
I don't like shows that require reading, that's for sure.
There's no reading necessary.
Don't give me a book to read before the series starts.
No, you can come in here totally fresh, and I think this is a good...
Look, can I jump in without watching Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
absolutely. Just jump right in?
Oh,
we're one episode in. I'll watch the first episode, and I'll join the party with you guys.
I'm really curious, because now the question is, is it... are you not into like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, like that type of fantasy, or was it just the way Game of Thrones was laid out? That's what I'm really curious about.
I don't know. I mean, I did enjoy all the Lord of the Rings films at the time. Didn't really like the Hobbit ones, but I think those are universally panned. I think, right?
They're not as as revered. I mean, it was hard for Peter Jackson to come back. And there was the whole Guillermo del Toro was going to do it, but then he didn't do it, and it came back, and I feel like...
And then they stretched one book into three.
Yeah, and then the whole lawsuits and stuff, it got messy.
I don't know. Something about Game of Thrones just didn't sit right with me. Maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset when I started it. Again, I was starting late. Oh, here, now Lee's calling back in. I think he wants to chime in.
Oh, is he in there?
I think he wants to chime in on this. Let's see.
Oh, I want to definitely hear. Lee, are you there?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Try it one more time.
Oh, man.
Not working. Okay.
Live. We're live.
Live TV, folks.
Live TV. Oh, yeah, I definitely, because I wanted Lee. Oh, I thought I heard him.
Here we go.
Lee.
Hello.
There he is. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, dude. He had something to say about dragons, so he called our 976 number that we're going to have.
The phones are ringing off the hook.
The phones are ringing off the hook about fucking dragons.
Well, I was just saying, I heard Mario's comment about can I just dive into the second Game of Thrones? I was like, no. You got to start at the start with Game of Thrones. It's a journey to budget increase. You start at the Renaissance Festival in Brunswick, and you end up in the CGI Festival.
So I couldn't just jump right into the new series. You don't think so?
Budget.
No, you got to go. You got to go on the journey. You got to put some time into this.
I mean, you definitely are rewarded if you do understand where it's going, especially with the family lineage, and it shows a little bit of like the beginning of where a lot of these families that we know came from. But you could benefit from it, but I don't think you need to. As far you won't be lost, but you are rewarded for fandom.
How much incest should we expect in this?
Oh, I think a lot.
I mean,
everyone is down.
Yeah, I think everyone's down for the crown. That's what we're calling it. Everyone's down for the crown. It's
everyone looks pretty similar in the trailer.
Yeah,
so
it's just like, there's other ways for you to get your hair that color other than sleeping with your cousin, right? There's other ways that you can do this.
Put it this way, there is that much incest. It's like a Friday night in Georgia. It is crazy.
Lee, did you see the House of the Dragon pilot? What did you think?
I started watching it, and I got sort of taken away and did something else. I wasn't super that taken by it, but I think it's because I got burnt out in the last season. I felt like I'd invested an entire decade into Game of Thrones. I was like, oh, you guys just couldn't be bothered to finish this. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, the Burn of the Dragon. So when I saw the announcement that this was HBO's biggest premiere of all time, I was shocked because I expected more people like us to be burned. And I know people that said, nope, not watching it, still stung by the finale. So I was like, look, if you go back, it's a very violent show. Man, what is in Milk of the Poppy that it makes you look at your cousin that way? That's what I want to know.
What is that?
Milk of the Poppy.
Of the Poppy?
Yeah, I think that's their equivalent of tequila.
Yeah, probably a little more heroin, but
There you go. We got an image up for Lee there.
There you go.
So you get the visual to go.
I can't see it because I was watching on my phone. Hold on, let me have that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm not a Game of Thrones hater. I think I just missed the train on it. And sometimes when you start a show late, you're not really caught up with the hype, and you almost kind of resent the hype because you missed it.
Yeah,
a little bit, and you just never really buy in. So I'll give you the show a chance.
I was close. I did not start till halfway through season 2, and someone just held my feet to the flame. They're like, "You have to watch this," and I blazed through that first season.
This may be the perfect analogy for you, but I kind of see it as the same people who their first introduction to Star Wars was the prequels. And then, they've watched the prequels, they watched the original trilogy, and they're the biggest Hayden Christensen, Anakin fanboys you'll ever meet. And we kind of dealt with that with the prequels. They were pretty much universally derided at first. But
hated.
There's a whole generation that grew up with that, and that is their Star Wars. And it's become a little more appreciated, and it's become a little more accepted. And I think that's the reason why you saw 10 million people tune into this, is while there was still burnout, you have a whole, that was 10 years of people's lives, but now you have a whole undercurrent of new people who either didn't watch it or maybe only watched a little bit of it and maybe felt like they hadn't been burned as badly and turned in for this new version because it's an older story. It doesn't have as much to do with the Game of Thrones original story in so much that we're learning about, their grandfather's grandfather's grandfather kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the solid pitch. There is going to be you're going to be rewarded for your history lesson if you go through and do it. But if you don't want to, and you may watch this. Here's a good question, and Lee, jump in what you think on this as well. What if somebody watches this and this turns out to be a great series, and then they go back and they watch Game of Thrones and they're going to be thrilled and like, oh, this is great. Where like if Mario, he's going to be that example. He watches this and he goes back and watches Game of Thrones and then he gets burnt by the dragon and sees what happens. That could legitimately happen.
Don't know.
They're gonna see it in all the press releases. I see all these new shows, the new Star Wars that come out, and eventually I always feel sort of deflated by the end of it. And I think we've got to go back to the root. And I've been saying this to you, Mario, for 2 years now. We've got to stop supporting these big monoliths, and we've got to go back to supporting shows like Blood Drive. I guarantee you, I'm going to convince you to watch that show.
Where the hell can anybody watch that now?
Wait, what show is that?
I watched the first episode, and then it just disappeared off the cable.
Yeah, I think they took it off streaming after they cancelled the second series, but we got to find a way to regenerate the funding for that show.
If it's on Sling, I'll watch it. I'm a mark for Sling now. Sorry, streaming sites, but I'm going back to cable because I just love having the channel scroll. But yeah, I do want to watch Blood Drive. I'm with you. I want to support more shows, less Disney shows. Give me some new IPs, man.
And I think August did have that. August was a big month for that type of, if you wanted to support them. Like, unfortunately, I didn't get to see Beast this week, but there was a lot of stuff that dropped that were not IP based. But I again, we live in both worlds. I think there's room to, to take in the, the candy, but also eat your vegetables at the same time.
Eat your vegetables, is it?
Go back, watch Game of Thrones, and then go back, watch House of the Dragon, then go back and watch Game of Thrones and see where it's go. But House of the Dragon so far so good. It had a couple of scenes that made me wince. And I know, Brian, you know the scene I'm talking about. Yeah. When you realize that they're about to get medieval, literally, and make you wince. And that's great because I felt it, and I was like, oh, this is really good because I'm feeling compelled to maybe go vomit. All right, Lee, you want to stick around because we got one more. I know we're running good, but we got a lot. We got one more thing that we want to talk about here.
Are we 3 hours in?
I'm gonna have to drop, but good to catch up with you guys.
Yeah, we want to have you come in and maybe we can follow up on our Flash Gordon talk because we gotta do a legit fit Flash Gordon review.
I will do an entire show dedicated to Flash Gordon.
All right.
Yes, you'll save every one of us.
I was going to do that, but I'm not going to subject you to that.
All right, Lee.
All right,
we'll call in anytime you see the show live and you have something to complain about.
Yes.
Just call the red phone.
976 incredible.
It's only 99 cents a minute. All right.
See you, brother.
Bye.
All right, we can take one if you want to take one more quick break, but we still got, I want to hear your retroactive review for this will be our Bodies Part 2. But you also went to a retro review last night and saw Videodrome, so maybe this, Brian, I don't think you've seen either, so maybe this is now the reverse of Mario's got to pitch us on this right after a word from our fake sponsors.
On all new releases at Rogers Video.
Hi, Video Sam's got exciting news for you. You can now rent a video overnight and hire these great movies from only 99 cents. But the best news is that by purchasing our special package plan, you can have this VCR absolutely free. Ring now, 892-3311 for details of this amazing offer. You could have a video at home tonight. Remember, 892-3311. Video Sam's libraries are convenient to you.
Movie tonight on video. Movie tonight on video.
You can rent a video player, too. There's a store near you, sweetheart.
Movie tonight on video.
They're helpful and friendly with films for the whole family.
Movie tonight on video. Movie tonight on video.
All right, we're coming back to you, Jeff. Man, take us home. Final hour.
Yeah, that's right. It's time for to take us home. We're creeping up at the 3-hour mark, and we can feel it in the ear cups. That's when we know we're running long. So
see, that's why I give up on the headphones early.
That's the way to do it.
Obviously, but stuff, you're 40 feet away.
Lisa, that's not me calling. It's coming from in the house. Oh, deep cut. When a stranger calls, get out. It's in the call is coming from in the house. Now that movie wouldn't work because they'd have to change it up a little bit. But yeah, I remember back then seeing that. Get out. He's in the house with you. But let's do a little double review, and I'm going to let you pick your poison. So, since we spoke and we did a small bodies review, you went and saw that, and then you also went and one of our favorite days of the week, Terror Tuesday, right up there with Weird Wednesday at Alamo. So pitch us. Brian hasn't seen either, so pitch us.
Which one we doing first?
Oh, which are you pick? Whatever.
All right, let's do bodies first.
Okay.
So I did finally get around to seeing this. I think that your pitch or your description was perfect. It's Clue for the TikTok generation.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, I dug it. It was good. I mean, I had some issues. The twist at the end was really good. I think that's what kind of seals the deal.
Oh, Brian, do you need the spoiler sting? You want the spoilers?
No, I mean, when it comes to spoilers, unless it's something that I'm already inherently into and
excited
about, I'm a little spoiler here and there is not going to bother me. Unless it's something that's going to impact the whole viewing experience, then I'm okay with it.
All right. Yeah.
I think. Well, it's because we did cover it before. I will say it's solid. I didn't realize that main actress was the young girl that played Rue in the Hunger Games.
Yep.
But I think it's something that you can watch and then revisit. A little bit of a Sixth Sense vibe, where it's like you revisit it because you want to see, oh yeah, the twist was happening the whole time and I missed it.
Pick up all the clues.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, it's an interesting take on who done it. Because I'll just I have to spoil it here. I'll do the spoilers thing. There's just no way to avoid it.
Yeah, it's tough. We've been trying to.
So you know the premise of the movie. We've got they're in a house. Folks are dying one at a time. Turns out towards the end that there was no murderer at all, and it was just their paranoia overacting and plays into that. I don't know. It's solid. I would give it a watch. Well, now that I've just ruined it for you, actually, don't.
I can still watch.
Go ahead, skip it.
I think you still watch.
Everybody skip this film.
Well, but again, what Lee was just talking about, I mean, I know A24, though. A24 is on fire right now, but I still feel like they're a smaller studio that needs that type of support. That's why we're there day one for X, everything, everywhere, all at once. Pearl's coming out. Definitely, we got to support the not the ones that are monoliths.
Yeah. So anyway, I wish I would have seen that open weekend. We could have done that in the original spot, but it's good. I think it all worked out. Nice and short, 87 minutes, perfect timing. Just zip, zam, boom. Watch the movie, it's over. AMC, you could probably do without the 30 minutes of ads ahead of time. Drop the Nicole Kidman ad for AMC. Jeez, have you seen this one?
No, I have not.
Nicole Kidman telling you that the movies are back and you
need
to go to the movies.
I did see that one.
While you're already at the movies at that point, so why do you need to see that?
Drives me nuts. It was like trying to sell me something I already bought.
I'm already here. I already have the pass. I already have the app. I've got it all. I'm in the seat. I bought the popcorn. Just play the movie. Give me two trailers and then give me the movie.
They did the same thing with McConaughey too. Back when the theaters first started opening, like every theater I went to, whether it was the Draft House or the Cinemark, they've got Matthew McConaughey right there at the front telling us theaters are back, all that kind of stuff, which made a little sense then. But I've been going to movies for over a year now, so I'm fully 100% already back in board with it.
Yeah.
We're already here.
Except Regal. We were going to talk a little bit about the.
Shout out to Regal.
Yeah, they might be declaring bankruptcy soon, but.
Should we buy it?
We can make it those incredible.
Should we put a bid? What do you think we could get it for? How many theaters?
I think we do it Vince McMahon style, and you wait till the last second, then you're like $1, Bob.
Split it up into territories.
That's how you do it. Film territories, right?
Film territories.
Rotate the circuit. But before we jump off of Bodies, Brian, you got to go back and watch our show last week. There's that YouTube video of showing Pete Davidson as a 16-year-old boy, and you're going to get a uncanny Muppet Babies vibe. You're like, holy shit, somebody turned Pete Davidson into a Muppet Baby. It's exactly how you'd expect Pete Davidson to look now, but he's 16 years old telling 16-year-old jokes, and it's fantastic. And no wonder he's a star.
Yeah.
This was like on a public access show with like Joey B or whatever. It's like a
Late
Jersey
night with Joey B.
Yeah, so it's just like, wow. Okay. All right, but let's, Mario, take us home. I'm giving you the office. We're at 2 hours, 55 minutes. Give us a pitch on Videodrome. Retro review.
Well, have you guys have not seen Videodrome then?
It's been a while, but I'll read Brian what Videodrome is a 1983 Canadian science fiction body horror written and directed by David Cronenberg and starring James Wood, Sonia Smith, and Debbie Harry?
Debbie Harry's in it, yeah.
Rapture?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, now's your pitch.
Well, I mean, it's not so much of a pitch, but I mean, if it's a Cronenberg classic, it's his early work. I went to go see second Cronenberg movie I've seen in the theater this year because I went and saw Crimes of the Future.
Oh, really?
Earlier. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that was okay. But I think it's really interesting, Videodrome, because it's all about how technology and human flesh will mesh eventually, at least in this film. And the Videodrome is actually a show. Videodrome is a show. James Woods is the lead character, and he runs a TV station called Civic TV, where they specialize in softcore porn and hardcore violence. That's what they play. And so, basically, he gets pulled in. They start receiving these pirated signals from an unknown source. They start recording them, and then as he's watching these pirated videos, he starts having hallucinations. It's hard to describe. I think like most David Cronenberg movies are hard to describe. I think what's interesting about it though is the whole thing about there's a theme throughout where one of the main characters says that eventually your perception of reality will outweigh actual reality, right? It'll be more important, and that's the only thing that's going to eventually matter. And he's like, I don't need a body anymore. It's just my perception. It's hard to describe.
But I mean, I think you basically explained life in 2022 as we're getting closer to like VR and AR and people being more interested in an online persona more than an IRL persona.
Yeah, because there's actually the height of technology here is a videotape, right? This is like as technological as it gets. And this guy is saying in the movie, the main character his name is Brian. I forget his last name.
I'm already on board.
It was some ridiculous. Yeah, there you go.
You had me at Brian.
But anyway, he's saying that eventually we will all get rid of the names we have and have video names.
What?
Yeah. And it's just like, oh wow, like this was like way ahead of its time because
way ahead of its time.
Yeah. Man, I can't really pitch you on this, guys, because it's like, it is kind of a rough watch. It's really gross. There's a lot of body horror in it.
There's a GIF that's out there that had the old school box television and when those body parts are blowing out of it.
Oh yeah, and literally, the technology here is a videotape. So they've got an organic videotape that they actually put inside of James Woods, with a VCR slot.
Oh my god.
I think it's fun to revisit. I can't say that it would be a pleasant watch, in this day and age. But man, I think the ideas. I think Jeff, you would really like it because the ideas in it, you're shocked at the things that they predict in 1982
and how accurate they are. Oh, Mike's in the house. Yeah, video. It's a classic, The Fly, but with a TV.
There you go.
Oh yeah, because the box art. I remember seeing the box art. The whole video. First, it corrupts your mind, then it destroys your body, and it like James Woods is kind of like in the TV, so you see part of his body's coming out of it. But I'm going to give you the official pitch here, Brian. So it is set in Toronto during the early 80s. It follows the CEO of a small UHF television station who stumbles upon a broadcast signal of snuff films. The layers of deception and mind control conspiracy unfold as he uncovers the signal's source and loses touch with reality in a series of increasingly bizarre hallucinations.
Yeah, and that's right. It is a UHF station. I was going to say that this is actually the body horror version of that Weird Al Yankovic film, UHF.
The fire hose!
Similar.
You want the fire hose?
About tapes that actually go into your body. And I tell you what, you remember how we were talking for a while about doing that film where the guy turns into a videotape?
Oh, yeah.
You should watch it just for the videotape.
Of where we wanted to do that. Oh, we really need to make that.
There's the organic videotapes in the movie.
Oh, man, now maybe we make a requel with our shirt that we have.
Yeah.
Now that one will work better than the guy turning into the sandwich.
Yeah. That was like plan B.
Although hot dog
it was like,
fingers.
how do we turn him into a tape? I don't know. How about a sandwich instead? That's way easier. All you need is bread.
Maybe we're prophets because hot dog fingers. I'm just saying. So, but Videodrome, distributed by Universal, was the first film in Cronenberg to gain backing from any major Hollywood studio. With the highest budget of any of his films to date, it was considered a box office bomb, recouping only $2 million from its $6 million budget. But it received praise from special makeup effects, his direction, James Woods' performance, and Debbie Harry's performance, and its techno-surrealist aesthetic. and its cryptic psychosexual themes, but he did win Best Direction Award and was nominated for 7 other awards at the Genie Awards. But now considered a cult classic, the film has been cited as one of Cronenberg's best and a key example of body horror and science fiction horror genres.
And it's just amazing when you watch it how much the filmmaker here thought that video was the highest form of technology here. Like literally, because like folks are doing things that seem kind of ridiculous, like with a videotape, like somebody sending someone a tape as a message. It's just like, here's your appointments for the day. I put it on a tape. And it's the tape of his secretary talking, you know?
That's crazy. Like, yeah, that's like try to find that way to interweave basically what we live with right now, right? Is this our new VHS tape? You know, this little Black Mirror?
It's amazing to me that this guy had a UHF station where he was struggling to find content and put stuff on that people will watch. And now we just have our own channel that's happening right here live.
Yeah.
Built out of our phones.
This is the version of UHF.
It's ridiculous.
I was so close because of the premise. I almost called an Audible. I was working late, and I was like, but I really wanted to see this, and I really think it would have served me better to see it theatrically. Because
I mean, a 35 millimeter print, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
Can't beat it. And you know the guy at Alamo that introduces the Terror Tuesdays. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
But yeah, I mean, just seeing it on the print's great because Cronenberg's effects, I think, do not stand the test of time. And when you watch them like in a Blu-ray upgrade, you just see the seams in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the effects are kind of hokey. I don't know. Again, like we've talked about it before, the movie was shot on 35 millimeter, so 35 millimeter is the perfect format to watch it in.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
No, exactly, and that's all I need to hear. That how the director served it up is how I want to eat it.
Yeah.
I don't want to change it. I don't know if the chef served it as a 3-course meal. I'm not going to turn it into a sandwich.
Yeah.
I want to eat it there. So I like just the idea again that this is basically the equivalent of like cavemen drawing on walls because they don't know what it's going to be, but they can feel it, and he just did the best that he could do at that time to show that clearly he was right on the money. Right, of
it's
where we're
accurate.
going. You know, it's just like maybe there's not flesh in these, or is there? Right, the Black Mirror, is there?
Well,
flesh
I mean,
in
look,
there?
how this is part of us now.
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
you leave your house with your phone. Without your phone? What happens?
My car yells at me.
Yeah. Could you go the whole day without this at this point?
No,
You feel naked.
Yeah,
You feel helpless.
You feel out of
I'm
it.
telling you, a horror movie in itself is I lost my phone.
that's a great title. Too.
That's it.
Oh, I lost my phone.
I
think you just came up with another great title.
Dude, I'm telling
I lost
you,
my phone.
I lost my phone. It's a horror movie. Man, why is Hollywood not watching this? Look,
They are.
I
they're just
one
not,
time,
They're just stealing the ideas.
dude, I locked myself out of my house without my phone. I was the most terrifying 45 minutes of my life. I had nothing. There's no way. I ended up. Somebody was looking at the place next to the studio, just checking it out to rent it, and I had to ask them if I could use their phone to log into my Gmail so I could email somebody to help me.
Dude, you just wrote. This is now our. I lost my phone. Can say based on a true story because I can see that scene. Like,
needless to say, they didn't move in, but like. Yeah, I lost my phone. A horror movie.
Oh, I love it. I think that's
call us Hollywood.
Yeah, call us. We got ideas. We got
want to get booked. A24. We want to get booked.
Yes, we will. We will do what needs to be done. So, all right. I think that's a show, boys. So that was a great show. We're over 3 hours. So I think, but it was a solid 3 hours. So Brian, thank you for joining us. And while you're in, thank you for not only sharing your always great insight, but thank you for sharing your social media knowledge. Because when you're sitting there, I think I just got another section of the website I want to build. It's the Friends of the Show. So we can put your stuff, because you're out there too. I mean, you're always active. And I think that's when we first talked about the Blue Starlight show. And I was like, Geek Commander. I was like, that's great. That's like a presence. Like it demands presence. So you're out there on Twitter. You're out there on Instagram. But check out your stuff. Do you have your toys stuff on display, right? Don't you have a site for it? Or
We used to. We kind of stopped doing that because trying to run a separate business was like just
Yeah.
It's so hard in trying to do all that. So we kind of it's more of just like a hobby that's gotten out of control now.
Well, maybe one time just go through and just record it and then just bring it so we can show. Like almost kind of like the MTV Cribs, but MTV Toys, right?
Say what's up to Jason who joined late. Jason, next time come earlier and call in.
Yeah, call in. You definitely call in. And Slava, thanks for jumping in. He said to get an Apple Watch. That'll get you in the door.
I need an Apple Watch that goes directly in my skull, in my medulla oblongata.
Medulla oblongata. So that's a good way to do it. So I don't know how we want to end it. Is there a video drone way we can end it? Or do we do the ending, the best post-credit scene, in my opinion, that Marvel ever had was... You want to end it with that? Ryan, you know what I'm talking about.
Which one is that?
She-Hulk.
Oh, you go for that one?
Yeah. Okay, but you got to time it because as soon as we go to drop the F word, you got to cut us off.
Censors will yell.
Yeah, so you got to cut us off right. Okay. So it's just like, I'll do the whole thing. Steve Rogers is not a virgin. He lost his virginity on a USO tour in 1940. Yes! I knew it. Were you not drunk? Captain America!